All right. So being that the topic is alliances, not just siege, so we're including impacts on node war. The goal is kind of to explore, like, why are they a thing? How are they have affected the game, both good and bad? So can you start with that? What are some things that you feel could be good and bad about alliances?
All right, let's skip him. Go to somebody else.
Can anybody possibly let us know what could be good or bad about alliances?
Get Thug back in.
Yeah, if you can't speak, try leaving the chat and coming back in, because this is turning
Yeah,
into
Conflict's back, and so is Thug Nasty.
There we go.
It's
time.
What's up,
It's
Thug?
time.
Welcome back. Hey, I had to do that for my boy Guido and my Arsha boys. What up?
What up?
Yep.
All right. So what we're doing is we're talking about alliances. Can you tell me something that you feel is good or bad to do with an alliance? Like, well, what have your experiences been? Because it's not all bad, because guilds are still in them and they still engage with them. So there has to be an upside. But can you run through what you feel that up and downside might be?
Wait, who are you asking that?
Wait, who's that question for?
It's directed towards anybody. Any of y'all could speak at this point.
Someone could go first.
Oh. I'll go first.
Right.
It really depends on the situation.
Yeah, once Jay's done a real advisor, we'll talk after. GG.
All right, go ahead,
That
Jay.
was so weird. He said a real advisor. Anyways, fucking pretty much just alliances now are basically just trash. It's boring. I get it, back then it was fine. The game was more alive, game was better. But just especially now, since the game is getting worse and worse, there's really no fights going on unless like one side decides to finally go somewhere. And mainly it's the nameless side doing it. They're going places, and that's about it. Like, there's no fight unless one group of people do some shit.
All right. So what's something good about being in alliance? Because you're in one. You used to be in one, and then you left, but then you went back into one.
There's nothing good about it.
Why are you?
It's trash.
Okay, so from your
So the thing is, though, alliances are built for at least siege. So what are your thoughts about that? Because technically, no guild can just some guilds can, but no guild.
Our sieges don't work. So literally nothing is good about alliances on console.
Okay, fair enough.
Everybody might as well just, in my opinion, just be solo, do their own thing, and even if they have to form a like temporary alliance, you know what I mean? Like, say for instance, it's Sacred, Nameless, and Panic that randomly drop on a siege. Obviously, the smart choice would be for Nameless and Panic to team up and kill Sacred, which is perfectly fine. That's how it should be. It's normal. But and then they just 1v1 after that, and then whatever they win castle, whoever wins. That's a better siege, in my opinion, than what the fuck is going on.
Right. Okay. Conflict. Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Can you talk now? All right. So you're in an alliance as well. It can't just be all bad. You're in it for a reason. So can you think of anything? Is there any plus that you found from being in one?
Yeah, no, the alliances have definitely helped the guilds out. Because for the most part, it was like, if you know a guild's stronger than you, you're not going to keep fighting them day after day after day. The alliances kind of help people like set up a fairish fight, you know. A strong guild like Nameless would take, you know, Panic or fucking Ominous, and they could actually fight us. Whether it be 2v1, 3v1, shit like that. So I think it's a good thing for fights. For Node War Siege, Siege is needed. Node War used to be free-for-all, which I thought was a better system.
Yeah. So you feel that it's Siege is fine, but it's filtered down through the node war scene, and it's sort of changing how guilds place and function and their ability to engage with the content. Like, I was on Zen's stream earlier today, and he made a really, really good point. Panic Zen. He was talking about how alliances are quite problematic within Node Wars. So you will have a smaller guild that will try and start a T1, T2 Node War, but they can often get quite locked out, and that the smaller guilds on Node Wars in that scene are emulating what the Siege guilds are doing. You agree with that? You reckon that's an issue?
I don't know if locking out has to do with the alliance. It's more the alliance's choice to lock them out. For the most part, we're not going to lock out some random guild unless they're part of a nameless or.
No, I'm not talking about your alliance. I'm talking about an
Yeah.
alliance, or tend to. Like, just he had made a point that if you're not in their alliance, you're out. So that could be a bad thing.
Yeah, I guess,
Have you found that?
You get zerged in Nodeware, I guess, in that sense. Unless like Threat or Defy or one of those guilds like asked to fight that guild, usually they'll just get zerged, from what I've seen. Because if people don't want to fight them, it's just a hindrance on taking the node out fast.
Yeah. Glyco, you're an electric. You run T1s. You're on T1, T2 at the moment, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. From your perspective, from that in the Node War scene, have you found any good or bad in an alliance?
At least for T1s, most of them are just small alliances, 2 guilds total, 3 guilds total. There's no crazy 8-man guild, 8-man alliances or anything that I've seen. So, since T1s, there's no like small guild or like new guild. You kind of have to have maybe 1 or 2 guilds help you out, because or else you're just gonna get 3v1, 4v1 off node. And since forts go down in 20 seconds, 15 seconds, you do need some backup to actually even T1 more than 1 day.
Interesting. Straps, you've been in an alliance for a very long time. There's got to be a positive for Nameless to be in an alliance. What is it? The reason I'm asking for positives is because everyone goes, alliance is bad, kill alliances. Alliances are killing the game. There may be truth to that, but you're all still in them. So I'm trying to find out what the upside is.
So the obvious one that everybody kind of picks out is money, right? People want to be able to win wars, but I think the bigger thing for the smaller guild, when they're trying to get into the scene and they drop on nodes or siege and they have to fight the strongest guilds, being able to have stronger allies to kind of equalize the fight allows them to participate in, you know, real siege and real node war content. So for the small guilds, there's that benefit that they improve the quality of their fights. They don't have to worry about getting locked out, like it's been brought up, because that's a big thing now. For kind of like the bigger guilds, it's just an equalizer.
Yeah.
By nature. When you're on siege, whether you have to push to a castle or you're just fighting stronger guilds, having other guilds to be there to equalize the fight just can improve the fight for everybody. The obvious downside is just that it can very easily be a power imbalance and kind of disrupt the quality of the fight for everybody involved. So it's definitely good and bad.
Of lag and
Not even lag, just that the quality of the fight. So when you have multiple guilds and throughout alliances and you're trying to go and take on a fight and you don't necessarily know what people will be there, right? There might only be 2 guilds there might be 7, there might be random guilds dropping and picking sides, and so the amount of people that you fight with on one team might be more than is even needed for that fight, you know. So we have a lot of Saturdays where people brought their force to one territory, and then another territory the other alliance has their force, and you know, you basically dodged each other that week whether you intended to or not.
So far what I'm hearing is that guilds are engaging and building alliances to help get money into their guild. That's why a smaller guild might join as well. But also a numbers game so that you can meet the force of the other side, but then that can exponentially can increase and become imbalanced. So, Sol, you're in Sacrament. You're the GM of Sacrament. You've been through Siege and Node Wars. Have you found this to be a similar thing?
I mean, yeah, we just want to get paid.
So it's the money. So do you feel that the amount of money in Siege is an issue? Like, do you think it's helped or hindered?
It hindered, man, because when they brought the money in, that's when the alliances started really popping off and just basically killed the scene because we all went from actually fighting each other to scripted fights, and they're not fun, and it's a complete load of crap.
Yeah, is that really true though? Because there was
Sacrament.
alliances long
That's a real
before
answer, though. That's a
there
real
was
answer.
billions in Siege.
Yeah, but when the
Bad Boys
money
back in
came
day.
in, when the money came in, we all started scripting fights so that way we could get paid. That, you know, that money for sitting in the castle is really nice. It looks really good in my central market. That's my whole problem with it.
Can you expand?
I mean, expand, I guess. The big problem with it is the money. I mean, if the money wasn't there, we would still be having good fights. I just want to go and I just want to fight. You know, my whole guild just wants fights. That's all we care to do is we just care to fight. We will go fight anybody, anytime, win or lose. We don't care. We just want to fight. And when the money came in and you know, everybody started like, oh, we have to be in an alliance now. You know, it went from we're fighting to, okay, well, we're just going to sit in castle this week. We're going to pass castle to you next week. And it became money. And I don't like that.
Yeah, fair enough. I know I've heard you say things like that. Have you found for Arsha, why did you join an alliance? Not just the bad, like what, is there any particular different driving reasons or you share those same?
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Well, originally we were kind of forced into it. Originally, Arsha was supposed to be a solo guild, but when
That's
this
fair.
money,
Arsha was a solo
money
guild,
thing rolled out,
but once the money started
guilds,
rolling in,
very fast
it was
figured out that
definitely
they can drop together and
politics.
rotate it. So we had kind of no choice. We were kind of solo for about the first week, but we were getting zerged down every day. It would be 2v1, 3v1, and it was getting really tiring. So Sacred was kind of on the same boat. So we were kind of forced into an alliance. It's just the environment we're in right now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
As far as Siege, the money is a big factor. What makes alliances want to drop in certain areas together.
So
I
that's a
think it
positive and a
did
negative.
ruin the fights. Yeah, it's a double-edged
Yeah.
sword, but I think right now, when the money first rolled out, everybody was interested in it. But now everybody's kind of bored because the game is stagnant because everything's just rotating about money. And now people want fights, but now everybody's in like a weird way of what they're used to. So now it's hard to get fights. I have a different outlook with Node Wars because for me, I don't think big siege guilds should be using the T3s as to be down there at all, because that's the platform for T1 and T2 guilds to step up and grow into a competitive guild. But with siege guilds going down there and kind of gatekeeping it makes it hard. And then in turn, these smaller guilds have no choice but to go look for a hand
So
to feed
Karm, my bad.
because they have no platform.
What I will
to
say about
grow.
that is, even
my
if it's
opinion,
only
the
1 to 3
side
bill
of-
for a payout,
of
that's
alliances
1 hour
is
up to
that
2 hours of grinding
they
that someone
play
doesn't have to
together
worry
and they
about.
group up
So that's
together.
why some people still
And
prefer to
sometimes
get that payout.
necessitates going down to T3, so the
from my
because of
understanding,
gear
you know what I'm
caps
saying?
and all that sort of stuff.
And exactly
They can
what you
engage
said.
with the content, and then then the other ones at their level are getting overrun because of the nature of their alliance, and they've got some pretty strong partners, and it pushes.
Honestly,
and exactly what you said. How if you're not part of their alliance, they're basically out. That's kind of how it is. So they don't have their little platform that they can grow, in my opinion.
Okay. Have you found that, Josh?
Hello.
Hold on. Can I say something before he goes?
Testing. Hello.
On that
We
shit.
can
that
we can hear
talked
both
about?
of you. Yeah, go ahead, Jay.
We can hear you both.
All right. Yeah. So I think that on the topic of alliances, whether or not they're good or bad, it's pretty obvious that there's pros and cons, right? And before I kind of get into like the short pros and cons, I think that alliances are here pretty naturally, right? They sort of popped up naturally for certain reasons, either to kick a really strong guild out of a castle that just wouldn't be possible otherwise, right? Or for the money reasons, like some people have said. So I think that there's pros and cons. I think that alliances came about pretty naturally. I think some of the pros are that every once in a while you do get some really good fights, as far as even like quote unquote scripted fights, right? Like say for instance, Panic, Nameless, Sound may reach out and try to set up a 3v3 against Flo, Arsha, Threat, right? And that could be a really good fight, and that would be, set up. But that's the sort of thing that's possible in the current scene. And it does happen, right? Sometimes by setting it up, and sometimes just naturally, right? With like, say someone's in castle and they have 2-3 guilds outside of the castle that are kind of like with them. There might be 1 or 2 sort of random guilds that are just dropping there. And then, another alliance could either choose to just go take another castle, or they could choose to go fight and try to kick out, whatever guild or alliance is currently holding one of the castles. So yeah, there's pros and cons. The cons are, it's the same shit. I'm gonna say the same shit everybody else has said. It's basically that, it gets stagnant and boring at times, and I think that's our fault.
100%.
So us as leadership, right? We can make these efforts, and it's been a common theme of conversation over the past month, that in the scene, right? That we're working on it.
Your own Discord going now. You've actually all been kind of working together a little.
I think we're all kind of working on it, trying to set up more fights, because we all play the game for the same reason, right? It's a video game. We want to play for fun, so fights are fun. So yeah, I think it's heading in that direction.
All right, J-Ray, I wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, so basically, I have a few questions I'm going to ask tonight, but one of the questions I actually wanted to get to know is, because I started playing this game about 4 years ago, but I didn't really join a Siege Guild until maybe like a year and a half in. So I think a good question for people like me, or people who still have no clue at all, maybe are new players or casual players, but how do you guys feel the alliances have differed now today compared to 4 years ago? And we'll start with Licht again.
Well, the alliances back in the day were like 10 times better, maybe 100 times better than whatever we got now. Because yeah, we used to have your Siege Alliance, but there was no money involved in any of the shit. So it's like you just drop for fights or ego pretty much. And Node Wars, for the most part, as I remember, Node Wars are all free for all. You'd have like an agreement with guilds you're friendly with to kill a guild, but like you'd still fight afterwards. Where now it's you're an alliance, you zerg whoever you're gonna zerg, and then it's just a walk-off money pass. Which it is our fault. At the end of the day, people don't want to keep doing that shit every night.
Facts. He's speaking truth.
And his cap.
He's speaking the truth.
So, I don't know. Maybe the caps would, if it wasn't capped, they would help fight each other. But guilds just don't want to keep throwing bodies at each other every night. And I feel like that's the big difference from now is a lot of the GMs would be down to go drop on any node in free for all. Now you message someone, it's like you wait a week for a reply, and then they're like, nah, never mind, I'm gonna go do something else. And it's just a money pass off. That's all the alliances are now.
You really found that last time with Fappin and Stab Boys, and like it would just be a free for all? It wasn't like. I remember it being kind of rough.
When Flow and Sacred were allied, rarely did we drop on the same node war together. Most of the week we were solo. and we take our own fights. And then
That
on
is
Siege,
very
we'd obviously
true.
drop together and get
The
Zerg.
old Alliance War was definitely fun
Uh,
compared to what it was now.
I can't really remember if Nameless Panic and them dropped together a lot. But I do remember it's like, you drop on a node, you find out who's there. If you're the strongest guild there, you expect to get Zerged. If not, you
Mango,
fight
that
whoever's
was your
closest to
days.
you.
I think you were still a
And
nameless
then if
back
not,
then,
at the end of the
Mango.
night, those two guilds that are left will still fight each other for the node. It wasn't like, okay, it's your node tonight, we're just gonna walk off.
We worked together for a while. Conflict, us, Panic and Flow.
This
We
is Josh
sat
talking,
in
by the way.
Valencia. We controlled Valencia for like a solid year, and basically just rotated the castle back and forth without much. There was a few times that people pushed in and challenged us for the castle, but we held Valencia for like a solid year.
Isn't that boring
No,
though?
There was some, yeah, it was boring, but there was times that we pushed out, like, a bunch of times throughout the year that
you're
like
talking about
Panic
Siege,
would push out and drop
They
on
were
other
having,
territories.
they had a blast
Okay.
over there.
This is still, we're still talking about like, new alliance system. I'm talking like old Arsha days, old Flow Elite.
Yeah,
days,
that was before.
where people would actually
what I was
fight each
saying was
other and go
after
drop on the node war territory or whatever. Even now,
Yeah,
How do
back
you
then-
remember the old?
Back before the 2 billion, right? Those days there were still alliances for Siege, right? But the purpose of those alliances was to kick out real strong guilds, right? That would just hold a castle forever. So alliances were formed for that reason. Right, but then in Node Wars it was just more of the free for all scene because you couldn't get locked out from the shit. You know, it wasn't that kind of scene. So yeah, the Node Wars were a lot different. But once the money came and guilds could get locked out, and that sort of became like a strategy in Siege, right? You could lock out some of your enemies, right? People that tried to kill you, right? So that became a thing. People started getting locked out, and there was money at stake. So it didn't eliminate the fights, but it definitely contributed to the lack of fights or the lessening of the amount of fights, whatever.
Do you agree with that, Jay? Like, how was your experience from back then? Like before, not currently. What conflict and
Well, alliances.
you're referring to? Yeah, how do you feel they've changed? From
Well, I
back
didn't
then
pay attention
now?
to what Josh said, but
Okay.
going to what
But moving
conflict
on.
said, yeah, I do agree because it was just there wasn't no money. It was literally just like he said, it was just fights. I guess ego, whatever.
But alliances, are they different today?
Hell
How
yeah,
they
they're
work and
now they're pussy. Now everybody's pussy, so it's just boring. It's trash. But back then it was just better.
Have something real quick, like a 15-second response to Jay.
I'll give you.
Go
I'll give
ahead.
you 5.
I'll give you 2.
So I tried to set up a 3v3 in Siege with Panic
up, buddy.
and Nameless and Sound versus Sacred, and I forget who the other 2 were, but it was 2 others. And everybody said yes for a week. And then the last
15
second,
seconds are up, pal.
even Steve, your GM, said yes. But then last second,
buddy.
they said no.
Okay. I'm back
Last
to
second,
you.
All
they
right.
said no.
Wait, excuse me, Josh. I'm speaking.
Yep.
All right.
Yikes.
Okay. Awesome. So while every single GM in this guild, and what they're all probably hoping and wanting to say right now, is that I've spoken to every single one of them, and every single one of them have repeated that same experience. So, but moving forward, you've now created a Discord that you're all in, and conversations are starting to happen, which I think is really good. And it's time in the game to maybe look at trying to expand out from the alliances you're in and start playing with other people in the playground instead of locking everyone out. So, Blazian, you had something you wanted to ask?
Yes. So, all right, guys. GMs, GAs. Hello, y'all. So, my question to you guys is, how does alliance impact your guild or being in an alliance? We'll start off with you, Conflict, since you're at the top of the Discord right now. For me.
How does it impact my guild? Or like, just the guild in the alliance?
I mean, it could be pros or cons, but how does it impact your guild in terms of being in the alliance?
I'd say guilds like Flow and Sacred don't really get much benefit from being in alliance outside of fighting like Nameless, Panic, and then when they zerg you. It sucks like when things move to caps, you had to pick up other guilds because Nameless and them, they'll zerg you 3v1 on cap, and you can't really do shit about it. You can defend your fort, that's it. But before caps, you're better off going solo to a node because you get 2v1, you could use your gear. But I guess now it's like you do get fights out of your alliance, but sometimes it's more painful to deal with all the guilds in your alliance than it is to get the fights.
Right.
Like,
And it's hit and miss, right? I'm assuming,
when we were with Panic and TBM, right, every night was a headache struggle of who gets the node, who wants to walk off, blah, 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 blah. Or I'd say now it's easier because Flow can just drop with Threat, Arsha, Defy, and usually it's fine, whatever we want to do. If we want to go solo, we go solo that night.
I'm a caveat to this, and the same question is going to also be asked to the rest of the GMs and GAs within this guild or in the podcast. But how come we just don't, since there's an issue with the fights, how come we just don't, what is your reason, or why isn't it that we haven't just reached out to other guilds to set up like 2v2s or 3v3s since we have these alliances?
I could touch into that. The lack of content and the lack of fights. Besides, it's not even, the game is trash. It runs like crap. But I'm going to keep it real. It's the leaderships of every guild, man. But we hold ourselves from having good fights because of whatever it may be, egos or, I don't know, money. But it's us as leadership, in my opinion.
Right.
To park all that to the side and make good fights because PC can do it.
Right.
There's no reason that we can't.
PC has their own beef, and APC in particular. And, one thing I will add on for every GM and GA in here is we should incorporate ways that we can include our content in having, nowhere fights, win or lose. Even for the strongest guilds, some of those guilds are probably going to take the L because maybe their alliance isn't as strong as the other alliance. But at the end of the day, we got to try to do what we can. We don't have the ranked GVGs, right? We don't have all that AOS, so we got to make the best out of it, right? So, anyways, moving forward,
all starts with us.
Yeah, exactly. So we have to try to create our own. Next, let's see who this is.
Yeah.
Anyone else have anything to add? What's up, Conflict?
Yeah, it's like you say, it starts with us and shit.
Yeah.
You're going to look for a node war fight. I'm sure everyone can agree with this. Who knows what I'm talking about? You will have Nameless, Sound, Panic on every node, sitting at spots, looking on how to avoid the fight. And that's every night. Philo and I deal with it. Thugs dealt with it.
Or
Not calling out individual guilds.
Exactly what I mean. Exactly what I mean. It starts with us as leadership too. Yeah, push for fights and make shit happen.
Say we look for fights though.
Yeah, we do.
Two out of three alliances look for fights. The other one mostly dodges unless they can 4v1 you.
I think and I have a moment with the mic. I feel like it'd be fair.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is like the fourth time my guild's been mentioned. So,
say your guild real quick. Who's talking?
It's Straps from Nameless.
Okay.
I think Thug makes some good points. Right. At the end of the day, it comes down to everybody in leadership to kind of make these fights happen. It's fair to say that really as a whole, everybody has made attempts to organize fights with each other. I've seen everybody make attempts with different people to do it. It doesn't end up happening for the most part because of ego, really. When it comes to node war stuff, though, if we're being honest, people are not trying to commit to fights they feel like they will lose, right? And so you're talking about people sitting and waiting to watch drop spots, but if you drop at 8 a.m., there's nothing to watch. You get what you get for the node, right? So we all have the option to just choose to say we can fight whatever. Nameless dropped solo on Node Wars for almost 3 to 4 months straight. He ended up going back to dropping and helping people when the lock system came into play and when people were getting jumped, including us, right? So it happens to everybody. Yeah, with the 10 minutes to getting locked for a guild, which is, I think, for any guild that's trying to, just if you drop on a node and your guild doesn't get 100 kills and live 10 minutes, you are done for the week. You know no wars. You can't siege if you haven't already secured your ticket.
You mind elaborating? Like who was jumping y'all?
I mean,
Well,
we get
all
jumped
sides
just
of
like
the guild
everybody
know
gets
that.
jumped. Well, everybody's been
Everybody
jumped, right?
Thank you.
Like we got to be real.
We're not going to.
We've all
Arsha has
been
locked
jumped.
out people. Arsha locked out Ominous like a month and a half ago or 2 months ago. What do you mean?
Josh,
Nah, I
every
got.
single
Hold on.
person-
We're
Yeah, right
talking
now.
about the beginning of Node Wars when it first kicked off. Who was really jumping y'all for real?
Oh, I mean, I don't know if it's going to be healthy for us to just go back to this because it's going to be point fingers. But if we start at the very beginning, the first days of the Node Wars, the very first Node War that we dropped on, there was about 8 guilds. We only had 1 guild with us. It was Invictum. We fought Arsha and TBM together. Arsha and TBM killed us with Invictum. The 2v2 wasn't strong enough. And then Arsha got jumped by TBM, who just worked with them, and Invictum and died. And Invictum on the node, right? So we got jumped just like everybody else.
Hold
was
on,
jumped.
Let Strap
I don't
stop.
have a problem with that fight. That fight was fine. But my point is to say everybody ends up getting jumped at one point, right? I don't think we can point to any one specific moment and say somebody has been jumped more than another. At the end of the day, people can drop on their nodes whenever they want. Yeah. And we can't just blame the fact that people are like, oh, we're just going to get jumped. We all get jumped.
That's just the nature of being a strong guild.
It's just PDO.
About that part too.
Hold on, big dog.
Most people really try to plan to make Node Wars and stuff.
Yeah, go for it, bro.
People are scared right now because everybody think they're going to get, like trapped right now or get wiped out right now and shit. Like people do try to plan on trying to make like a normal Node War on Fridays or certain other days. Like Defy, Optimus, Sound, all that shit. But they scared like topper guilds might come and show up.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
By the way, who's that? Sober.
Real quick. Who is that?
Real quick, Thug. Real quick, Thug.
Hold on 1 second, everybody. No.
What GM is that?
Sober, where are you from?
Oh, I'm in Defy right now. I'm chilling here.
Hey,
Well, that just adds on to what I said earlier that these smaller guilds need their platforms to compete because they're gonna get locked out by bigger guilds, us, right? Because we have no business being down there, in my opinion, on T3s. So of course the smaller guilds are gonna get locked out.
Yeah, but in defense,
some of the nodes are huge too, like 85, 100 mans.
I mean,
for a node war.
Why would you place against an alliance that know's like got 3 or 4 people there, and you can only bring so many, and you've got one partner, like trying to secure a node for siege, like you would move on it, right? Oh,
I mean, a good example is like these guilds like Adrenaline and Lucid and whatnot that are making the effort to try to grow as a guild and take the step up. Us, Arsha, like we have not locked out these small guilds just so we don't want to be assholes of the community, right? But they need the only reason why we went down there is to hunt a fight because we're hunting fights. We have to hunt fights because we can't set it up because our leaderships are all whack, in my opinion. So,
Radello, you were starting to say something.
Nah, all I said was but I don't know what I was trying to say earlier, because y'all talked a lot since I was trying to say that. But how did little bro get in here, bro?
I don't know. Moving on. He's out. Sorry, Sober. Much love. Did you have a question, Radello?
Nah, I already forgot. Oh, we.
All right, I just muted the soundboard.
Okay. Yeah, I got one. So this is gonna be a little controversy one, all right? So we're gonna start with conflict. We're gonna go through all y'all. I can already tell what some of y'all answers gonna be, but like we're gonna ask all y'all anyway. So do you think
y'all
your
chill.
guild would fail or succeed without an alliance?
I think it's good to start off the conversation by just mentioning the game is built for alliances and it doesn't function without them. So
we know his answer.
I think that's.
Can you?
I didn't
we
ask
gotta
you
be
who.
honest with ourselves, though.
Well,
we'll get
alliances
to you later.
have always existed, right? They've existed since
We'll
the
get to you later.
beginning of the game.
Oh my God!
all right, well,
Are you okay, bro?
I'll touch on what he said real quick. Yeah, the game's built for alliances, but back in the day, how it goes, you have a node war, you find out who's there, If you zerg the strongest guild, you zerg the strongest guild. If not, you fight whoever's closest. And that was it for Node Wars. That was how the alliance went outside Siege.
I do think it would be healthier if it wasn't in Node War. I agree with you there. I think the fact people can get locked and the fact that people need assistance to get their nodes for the weekend to participate in Siege is the reason why it trickles into Node War and it didn't before, because it wasn't as big a deal before to secure that node. I do agree with you that it's not healthy for it to be a Node War, but that it's not really optional. Everybody right now has guilds in their alliance that can't be trusted to get a node every single week.
Yeah,
So basically, what you're
we
saying
can talk
is
about that
guilds
later.
will fail.
I was going on your question though, but flow without an alliance, we did it for a while. I think out of everyone here, we probably did it the longest, and then we picked up when we picked them up, threat was 50-man guild maybe, definitely one of the smallest, but we only picked them up because we were getting 4v1 at Node War and shit like that. We weren't getting locked out, but still, it's not fun fights when your guild members are on capped screaming like, why are we going into a 200 v50? So eventually you have to pick someone up in order to have a good fight. Is it doable guildless? Yeah, you have to scout the nodes properly so you don't get locked out, but is it fun? No, your members get mad when they're getting zerged every night.
Jay,
Yo.
wasn't an alliance, right? Sad boys. And you ended up with TBM there for a while. You then left and you went solo.
Yeah.
How then you went? Yeah. So how would you answer that question?
We did fine.
Jay.
We didn't really need to go back into an alliance, but I think once the money started going in, everyone started alliance dropping 24/7 with like a lot of guilds. So we was like, fuck it, might as well
That's why you went back.
go back into one. Yeah, just might as well just go back into one to try to get somewhat of an even fight, even if like we're still at a disadvantage. It's still better than just getting zerged by fucking multiple guilds.
Did
But
it
we're
impact
perfectly
your
fine
guild?
though, regardless. What?
Not being
What
an
impact?
alliance? Was there
No,
an
it actually
impact?
was better when we did that. We were stronger. People liked it a
Josh?
lot more.
Okay. Josh, what would you say to that? To what Rodello wanted to ask about, how would Panic be if they weren't in an
How
alliance?
would Panic be without an alliance?
Yeah.
So
In brick
we would be able, if there were no alliances, right, and all the guilds were just kind of solo dolo, we'd be pretty fine for the most part. Like I'm pretty confident we would be able to secure our node every week like we've done since the start of the game. I think that in Node Wars it would be fun. I am in agreement with everyone that the Node War scene used to be more fun. It still is fun sometimes, but not nearly as often, right? So yeah, if we could snap our fingers and just make it to where people couldn't get locked out anymore, right? And it didn't matter if you secured your ticket.
I think the
You
real
could still
question we
siege,
all
that'd
want
be
to ask
great.
is
We
why
could go
Valenzo
back to the
targeted
old Node War
Exodus
system.
specifically in his diss track,
So
and
I
what
would
his
be,
poor mother
I
had to
think
do with
everybody
anything.
here would be down for that.
Well,
So
let's find
yeah,
out if
we're
that's
pretty much in agreement, I think, on that.
Blackie, Kai, you haven't had a chance to say much. You joined late. Welcome. And we've got Glyco here.
What did you call him?
Kai. Oh, I looked at his Discord name. Stop it, Jay.
Kai, yeah.
We've got, Kai. Glyco and Kai. How do you think you guys, how would you respond to Rodello's question?
I think that any guild that can get their own nodes would do fine. Without placing with anybody, I think anybody who could get their own nodes without placing anybody would be totally fine in the long run. As far as Siege goes, I mean, you know, if there's no alliances in Siege, only one person or only one guild per Siege is going to get paid. So that in the long run may damage some guilds, but as far as like getting to Siege, which is really important for a lot of people, I'm pretty sure like the top 7 guilds would be totally okay with that.
All right. Hey, real quick, Blackie, what is your in-game
Actually,
name and what
Sound.
what guild do you represent?
Yeah, so Sam would succeed without an alliance.
Hey, real quick,
How
Blackie,
about
what guild do you
yeah.
represent, by the way? Because
Sound.
okay. So everybody
Well,
knows
Right.
at
Blackie's
least
sound.
for us, electric, for at least T1s and T2s. In T1s, at least, it's almost always fights on the older T1s. Without alliance, T2, if you're strictly going to be T2, it's almost impossible because you're going to get 4v1'd by one alliance that controls it. But at least from my experience, I've been in 3 alliances so far over the last 2-3 years I've been electric, and it just depends. I think at least for us, we survived for a little bit being non-allied, but the money just basically ripped my members. People wanted money. If you couldn't secure a node all the time, you couldn't always siege. Messed it up. T1s, we're chilling. It's always fun. Everyone's having fun. But back then, at least for me, it basically ripped all my members out of my guild, not being able to pay them all the time.
If you weren't in an alliance, it would make attending siege harder, you think?
On T1s, it's a good chance, just kind of playing it by ear, because forts go down so fast. You basically have to CTG at perfect timings and kind of be smart with it. So for T1s, it's very possible. Anyone can make it to siege for the most part if you're somewhat strong. But since we can only node war 4 times a week, Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, the 16 guilds that drop on Friday, only like 3 of them make it to siege.
So that would be why a lot of smaller guilds, you're saying, that they would prefer to be in an alliance to secure that siege pass and some placement and a payout for guild members?
Oh yeah, I definitely would say there are T2 and T1 guilds that are aligned just to make it to siege. I'm not gonna say it of a few, but there's definitely guilds that are there for fun.
And it's fun.
There's definitely
different guilds of different strengths.
Yeah, most of the
Yeah.
T1 guilds I'd say are more fun oriented, I'd say, or fight oriented. The more T2 dropping guilds, I have seen a little more payout oriented. From what I've seen, if you see all the T2s, it's the same 4 guilds. So yeah.
Well, they're trying to get gear. Yeah, they're trying to get gear and stuff like that. So how is it for Sacrament? Do you guys feel that you're stronger because you're in an alliance, or you feel that you would be fine without being in one?
Well, we were just fine without an alliance. When we changed GMs, our last GM left our alliance for us, and we went solo. We cut down. We cut down, and we got a group of guys that just want to fight, and that's all we care about. We just go out there. We went out there and we fought, and we brought Sacrament back from the brink again. And I mean, I think we'd be just fine without an alliance. I mean, we wouldn't be winning sieges all the time, but hey, we'd at least be out there having fights and having fun. And that's what it's about for us. It's a video game. We're just trying to have fun.
You're not impacted so much by the money in Siege.
I could care less about the money in Siege. It looks great, but I'd rather just go get fights.
Okay. Ugh? How would Asha be if they weren't in an alliance?
We'll be perfectly fine. We'll be okay. It'll make for more fun fights. I think alliances are okay, but it would be nice to condense down. There's no real reason to have 10 forts on one territory, then you have really no chance of fighting that kind of force. So you have no choice but to go somewhere else. Yeah. But as far as Arsha being okay solo, we'll be okay. Our boys like to fight.
So I'm not being critical or trying to poke you at all. I'm just trying to understand. So there were still alliances in the game, like the current alliances.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to work out, like, Sacred feel, and they're more than likely right, they're going to be fine. But I'm just wondering, like other guilds, like the reason why they don't leave these alliances is that even if they still existed, like if it was a perfect world and there were no alliances, then yeah, everyone's going to end up placed where they're placed and blah, blah, blah. But going it alone and standing alone against all the existing alliances still standing, that's a very different thing.
It's hard for guilds that are growing to try to branch off into their own and be solo because, like I said earlier, they don't have their platform to grow. You can't try to like a smaller guild, maybe like a Defy or Ominous or whatever that are growing. If they don't have their own playing field to grow as a guild, and you're worried about Arsha on a T3 locking you out, then it's tough, right? So you really have nowhere to go. So you got no choice, but you got to ally. So your guild don't die. So.
Or you could be a T5 guild and you would end up going down to T3.
I agree with Doug. He's probably right.
T5.
Some of these guilds will
there's
not
no reason a T5
survive in the tier 3, 4, maybe even 5.
Obviously, the game can't do it because they don't
they're
know how
not
to do
in
anything.
alliance.
But I do think that if you are a large guild, like whatever extra large, I mean, you can only place on T4 and T5s.
Yes.
That's what I feel like should be a thing in console, because I know they can't do it because it's not a PC thing, right? Where copy and paste. So obviously they're not going to do it. But if they want to do something for console, they can do that. They can literally make it so extra large
it's
guilds
also unfortunate.
can only place on
the node sizes are huge.
Yeah.
The node
I
sizes
don't
are
think
too
we
big.
could. I don't think we could force it among the community, but if PA could force that into the game, like as an actual
yeah, that's what I mean. Because obviously,
it would be good.
That's what I meant. Because obviously,
how
we're not
would they
gonna.
do that?
Just
they make
lock
the game.
in. So right now, if you get a T1, you're locked to T1s. So they could set it up where right now you're in the T1, T2 bracket. And you could open that where if you win a T1 or T2, you're able to place T3, for example. And anyone who owns any of those cannot place on a T4 or T5. And conversely, if you own a T4 or T5, you can't place any of the ones below. And because of the number count on some of those lower cat nodes like T3 and shit, the bigger guilds kind of by default would end up on the T4s and T5s more often and eventually just stick there, right? So all they have to do is lock you in the same way that you're locked in with a T1 if you own it, and that you have to still stay up there.
Fair enough. Does anyone disagree with that?
No, I think that'd probably be a solid plan overall.
Wouldn't that just get in the way of not get in the way, but wouldn't that just mean that a guild that has no intentions of ever going to a T5 or T4 could just lock in on T3s for the week? Wouldn't that be the issue there?
I mean, I think it'd be fine though, right? If those smaller guilds lock in on the T3 and they just stay there, they get the option to move up when they feel like they actually have growth that makes it viable. They
agree.
can make that choice. If you mean like for the bigger guilds, they could lock down and just try to bully every week. But the good thing on that end is that if you drop on a T3, the forts are so squishy that two or three guilds that aren't very good, but at least are focused to make sure you die first, can kill you. It's messy, but I don't think, even for toxicity purposes, I don't think anyone would stay down there. Someone might pick a week or two and try to bully, but I don't think they'd stay.
I agree. I think some of these guilds, from what I've experienced, you know what I'm saying, is, they're probably tier 3 worthy, maybe even tier 4. It might help with some of the fights in terms of what tier certain guilds want to drop on what nodes or whatever. But I'm not completely sure, but however, what I will say is I know tier 1s and tier 2s, they're occupied. And then I know tier 4s and tier 5s are occupied, but I never hear anything personally about tier 3s. So some of these guilds that are in alliances that potentially would like to consider as a tier 3 guild, I think it's safe to say, it's something that we could potentially do down the road and have them, contest those tier 3 nodes.
I do want to ask a question though. Can I ask a question to Glyco, if it's possible?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
If you guys are, Electric's been around, you guys are all seasoned players and all that type of stuff. What's the main reason why you went down to T1, T2s? Because I know you guys can definitely be okay on T3s.
It's number count. Mostly, at least for even T2s, them being 40s and 50s, like, our main guys are 720, 730. It doesn't matter. If they have 50 guys, we're getting rolled. And we dropped on one T3 for fun when we luckily got Castle. But it's just numbers at that point. At least we're in electric right now because we're kind of just vibing. The T3 plus siege scene was getting a little boring, so we gave T1 to try. It's a little more team oriented, since people can't get one shotted. You can't two shot people. You can't three shot people. You actually have to like full combo people, and we're kind of just here for fun, for the most part.
I think the man counts, the participation counts on these nodes is just way too high for console.
It's too high for us right now. Too high for our community.
Yeah. It should be 70 at the highest cap right now.
So I actually this isn't like a planned question or anything, but I actually kind of want to get your guys' input on that. With how we are looking at console, and I think all of us are feeling pretty realistic on what the outcome after next gen will be. Not necessarily optimistic, but realistic that it's not going to be bringing all those players back that we once had. But with this current point in the game, do you guys think it should be dropped to like 50 to 70?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because no one's pulling 100 on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, the new system, whenever it changed, I forget how many months ago, but whenever it changed and they condensed the nodes and kind of upped the size of a lot of the nodes, some guilds could do it, right? Especially if you like hype that night up, but that's a problem for a lot of guilds, like including us, right? Like it's pulling like 85 or 100 on like some random night throughout the week. Yeah, right.
So I guess
it's hard as fuck.
So I think it'd be a good idea too, but my problem is with how the current game works, do you think it's just going to create more guilds than an alliance? I think that's still a possibility, and I don't know if that'd be worth it.
To rotate money? Probably. That's everybody's concern.
I think that we need more nodes for if we're gonna have once the native current gen version comes out, I do think our player base will prosper. It won't be overnight or anything, but will grow, right? But for like those new guilds that pop up after that happens, there needs to be more node options, and there needs to be some smaller node options for some of those guilds to have an environment where they can, grow.
So do you mean fun. like splitting our current nodes? Like say you have like Omar Lava Cave, you just cut it in half and then have two separate nodes right there? Are you talking about like opening up Camasylvia?
Kama would be dope. I don't think that's. I mean, that's not gonna happen until the native. Right, but yeah, console would be dope. I really want a node war in Polyforest, but I'm speaking more of on the older node system, like before they condensed the amount of options. Like we used to be able to pick from like 8 or 9 nodes every day,
Yeah.
So it was more spread out. That made snipes more of a thing, but that's fine, right? If some of the little guilds get snipes, it's fine, and especially when the player base grows, we'll need more options. Maybe not quite as many, but definitely more, and some with some smaller player numbers, so that everybody has a higher chance of filling up.
Even if the population increased, you still feel that the node numbers the numbers on a node need to decrease.
There should just be more variety in general.
Yeah.
Including more lower options. But yeah, you can still keep options. You can still have options for big ones, right? Especially for like people can, hype up fights or set up fights and be like, all right, yeah, we'll bring 80 on that Tuesday, right? But yeah, most guilds are not gonna do that.
I'm just curious real quick, Jay, why do you disagree?
I just don't agree with the more nodes part, because people don't even fight as it is already, so more nodes means more people dodging to go snipe nodes and get free fucking
he's
money.
Completely accurate on that part. I agree with a lot of stuff people are saying, like minus that part.
Then you take away some nodes that we already have. Our community is too small. We don't ever need more nodes. And
this falls back to the last podcast of performance, right?
Okay,
we'll get locked out by guilds like
Man,
us, right?
figure it out, man.
By guilds like Sacred.
Figure
Sacred
it
locks
out,
out
bro.
We're
guilds
not.
sometimes.
We're
We've
not
locked
doing
out
that,
guilds
Josh.
before. No, I'm
So
saying
what
now,
I
for,
so
like,
what I will say though
No,
is
it's,
I don't
it's fine.
I don't
He can.
all the big
He can
guilds have
talk.
done it.
I don't care about people commenting on what I say. I'll respond.
go ahead,
It
Josh.
doesn't matter to me.
No, I'm just saying all the big guilds have done it. We as a community lock people out, right? So
I mean, I
the
also think that
guilds,
shit should not be in the game. Also, I don't think this lockout thing should be in the game. I said that.
Agreed.
Like,
yeah, I agree with you.
like a couple weeks after that shit came out, I felt like it was gonna kill the game, and it is because people are giving it an excuse
But
to
it
be
is
more pussy.
it
So
is
it's like, whatever.
also it is also you
Might
as
as
a
well just
leadership
take
to
it
make
out.
that choice to lock somebody out. Like last night, we had an option to blitz ominous right off the rip, but we didn't do it because we're kind of not trying to do that no more, so everybody can have good fights. So you got to make the decision whether you're gonna lock someone out or not. Like pre-CTG 5 guilds on one base. That's your decision as leadership.
I mean, I do think the locking out should have a value towards siege, right? Like you should be able to lock somebody out and be able to utilize that on siege as, oh, they have one less ally. But right now we're not actually even doing that. People lock people out just for the fact to say, well, get fucked. You don't get the rest of your week. Everybody could agree and say like, all right, none of us will lock each other out. I do think that would open up a little bit more opportunity for people to be more free, right? Some of those small guilds would be more comfortable dropping on their own and not like asking for help when they show up on a node. They find out who's there. They're like, hey, can you not lock us out today? It would open up things a little bit more, but I don't think it's realistic for everybody to come to that type of an agreement and stick to it.
Arsha already started doing that.
I don't know.
It's
It's definitely a situational thing, because if I do agree that the fucking lockout shit is dumb, but only because like that means like people were just stack on more nodes. Like that's the only reason why I think it's dumb. But anything other than that, like I definitely don't want niggas to fucking just start T2 guilds placing on T5s thinking that, oh fuck it, man, we get free money here. No, like that's just annoying.
And that's what I will say.
Yeah,
a lot of guilds
thinking that smaller guilds thinking that it's fine to just fucking place wherever the fuck they want and then just get money out of it. I think it's stupid. Like I think these guilds should place on their own fucking territories. Like I said about if you're a extra large guild, you should only be able to place on T4, T5s. If you're not an extra large guild, if you're like a whatever medium, you can do T3s, blah blah blah, whatever the fuck. Some type of shit to implement that type of thing, I think will be better. Because then, like I said, if there's no lockout at all, guilds like baby guilds are just placed on T5s to get an easy, quick payout, and I don't think that should be a thing at all either.
Basically, place on the nodes that your guild is prepared for.
Fair enough.
Wait, what?
But the node sizes are too big for our community.
I'll be honest. I'm gonna.
That can drop, but
what I will pitch.
That's the game thing.
What I will pitch on that is that's your own fault, right? For that guild. If you can't pull a certain amount of people, depending on what node you want to place on, then that's on you. And obviously it plays a factor now because most guilds that want to, make sure they can ensure a win, they're going to place on like a 40 man, 50 man or 60 man or whatever, because certain guilds are able to pull more on that day. But at the end of the day, it's just like, it's that guild's decision. If they can't pull that many numbers, then that means whatever node, whether it doesn't matter what tier it is, that node that has like that example 40 man is going to have a fight because those guilds can only pull 40 people for that night or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
On that, I will say there's like an issue because some nights literally the smallest node on that night is a 50 man.
Right.
I know Leo, some of the people in here have heard me say it before. So if they really wanted to change something for just console, because if our player base is going to keep decreasing as far as PvP goes, like you'd have to take the guilds down to 60-man guilds, take all the nodes down by like 20 people, leave like one or two big nodes in there. That'd be the best way to do that. It's just I don't think they're ever going to change something for console. I know a lot of people too would have an issue with guilds being dropped down. Flow, you'd have to cut 40 people, but I think we could.
That would be
Sacred.
Pretty extreme. I think
really.
a less extreme measure would be just adding more nodes, right? Instead of
my
Okay.
chopping guilds
So-
down,
Terrible.
you can
That's a
add
terrible
Josh,
idea.
more
Josh,
options.
Josh, what I will say,
Right.
from just my opinion,
Mhm.
is that they had more nodes prior to they actually nerf or buff, however you want to view it as. They had more nodes, but they recently took away nodes from us for node wars due to the fact that we weren't getting fights already. And Jay stated it already. We weren't certain guilds would just go to certain nodes because they didn't want to fight, maybe due to what their participation was looking like on Discord. But it's already been kind of announced. But anyways, conflict. Did you have anything more else to add to
Yeah,
that?
so I mean, I'll just explain it real quick, right? So you take the top 5, 6 guilds, we're all 100-man guilds. You cut us down to 60. You create 3 or 4 competitive guilds out of that, right? And those 40 people have to go somewhere, and they're not going to go down to T1s. They're not going to join smaller guilds. They might make new ones. They might buff up some of the T1 guilds, maybe. Who knows? If you do all that and fights are happening every night, then you can talk about adding more nodes. But that would be it. If you add more nodes now, it's like Jay said.
I would agree.
Nameless has 100 people out there looking to dodge a fight that night. So
Yeah. That's why I don't. Well, it's not only Nameless. It's a lot of the guilds over there.
well,
But
when I say Nameless, I mean Nameless.
oh, you mean the Alliance? Yeah, I got you. But I would agree with the drop the guild members down, whatever. But then I would just the main reason why I don't agree is because then whatever you cut down these alliance guilds into 60, they're just gonna form a whole new guild and then just add another guild into their alliance, and nothing's gonna change. It's gonna be the same bullshit with just more fucking
Yeah, cutting
guilds.
guilds down, that's not even gonna, I think it's unrealistic to even talk about lessening. That's not gonna happen.
I do
right?
think it's unrealistic in a sense as well, but the adding more nodes shit is probably the worst take I've heard all night.
That's a player issue, right? Like that's the alliance leader being like, oh, we'll just make
Yeah,
Nameless
of
too,
course,
right?
yeah. It's
Nameless and
it's an
Panic
our
too,
issue
so-
thing, but that's just what we're in. We're in an alliance fucking dumbass fucking world right now.
Yeah, I get it.
I think for at least for T1s, adding maybe 1 or 2 more nodes for T1s would help out the smaller guilds, because there's only 1 T1 per day except for one day.
Like,
So
who the
maybe
fuck
the
is
smaller
this?
guilds, right? The ones, because I've, at least from my T1 experience, there's been maybe 6 or 7 guilds trying to like enter, but they only really node war once a week. So if they maybe add 1 node, you can have more guilds kind of pop up on T1s, and then there's better fights instead of a 10-man fight on the T1 where they can't even breathe for 10 seconds. At least for T1s.
Right. Okay. Does anyone else have anything to input into that? The last question, or any alibis?
What was the last question again?
That was this whole thing had to do with, do you think your guild will fail or succeed?
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone? If anyone doesn't have anything, Rodello, go ahead and continue on.
All right. And then we got another question. Can you, if willing, describe the roles of some of your allies within your guild, even the ones that's not currently here in this podcast? Anybody want to start that off?
Yeah, conflict. You want to start it off, big dog?
You mean like roles that
yeah, because you got like a what,
Yeah.
3 to 4, 3
yeah,
or
so
whatever
it's
alliance.
It's Flow, Arsha, Threat, Defy. I'd say for the most part, it's like Flow is more of the push the guild. We'll pick cannons and elephants, and then the other guilds try to hold their own or try to 2v1 someone in that perspective. The issue is sometimes, most of the time, we're outnumbered, right? So it turns into every guild having to fight 1 or 2 guilds on their own. In a perfect world, in like a 3v3, you'd use the small guilds how you'd use a small guild, cannon guilds, elephants, shit like that, and push flags. For us, like the smaller alliance versus the bigger alliance, I don't think there is much of a role, because they don't get to do that role. They're, Defy's getting, fuck, what was the last one? Was it Calpheon? I think Arsha, Flow, and Threat dropped, and each of us was in a 2v1, right, Thug? Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, there's real no role there. I know Nameless, the way they'll talk on their shit, but they can probably talk more on roles in their shit.
How many guilds do you think is in our alliance?
Any guild that drops on your territory is your ally.
Hold on. That is
rotation.
So hold on, Thug. That is a question. That is a question for later on. But
hey, we can go ahead and just let it go now, bro. Fuck it.
Sure.
Or if like Panic and Nameless come kick Flow out of castle, we're y'all's allies because we're on your territory.
All right, Josh, go ahead. Josh.
How many did you bring to that fight?
Josh, go ahead.
I offered all of
whatever
you guys.
Whatever you bring to that fight is your ally.
And everyone said yes for a week, and this is to both alliances. Everyone said yes for a week, and then they said no on the last day. Conflict said no because he said that he didn't believe us that we would bring a 3v3.
No, that's not what happened.
Jay said no because he didn't find out about it till last minute.
He hit us up 2 hours before
I got
started
receipts
to say 3v3.
I got receipts. It's cool.
Hey, let them cook. Let them cook.
You don't hit someone up 2 hours before siege and be like, "Hey, want to run a 3v3 because we already scouted the node and know you have 4 guilds there."
Damn. Well, we brought 4 guilds because you turned down the 3v3 days before and like the day before. I have the receipts. It's cool. Like if you want to go down that route, we can. But I'm just saying, everybody has offered 3v3s. Yeah, everybody's offered 3v3s, and like I don't want to. If I offer you guys a 3v3, or if anyone, if Nameless offers you guys a 3, like we're not gonna want to snake that, right? Because that looks bad, right? If we offer you a 3v3, then that's what we're offering you. And if we lose, right? That's fine. But like if I offer a 3v3, I'm not going to bring a 4th guild like on purpose, right? To try to snake you guys. If y'all agree to the 3v3, then that's what it's going to be. So that's why like earlier I was saying, and I think we're going in that direction. Like this stream or podcast is an example. Like everybody's talking to each other more. We're talking about fights and all that stuff. So it's good. I think the community's doing the right thing, right? We're headed.
So
is everybody done making their money?
I'll say this about the 3v3s, right? So the 3v3 that you're offering, it's you, Nameless,
I offered
Sound.
multiple.
Well, you only offer you, Nameless, and Sound, right? It's those 3 guilds every time. Versus Flow, who has Threat, which pulls 50-60 for Siege, right? Arsha, 60-ish, 70-ish, right? You guys are all pulling big numbers. Sacred, you offer a 3v3. Still you, Nameless, Sound. Sacred has Sacrament, who is T3 guild the best, no offense. And who's your other guild? Was it Pacto, a T1 guild? Something like that, and you guys wanted to fight them? So at what point are you offering a 3v3 that's not like something you're going into knowing that you have all the siege experience on them?
We gotta be honest with ourselves though, right?
Hold on.
So,
this motherfucker is kind of cooking, bro. I ain't gonna lie. He's kind of cooking.
Per siege.
I won't go on Arch's numbers because they can say whatever numbers they have. In reality, when you're offered a 3v3, what guilds do you expect us to bring? Right, we're bringing the 3 guilds that we have. That
I know you and Panic are impossible to go anywhere without each other most of the time, unless it's like a 5v2 or what was the last?
You're aware I'm in Valencia right now. You know how we got here, right?
Yeah, and guess what? Panic is free. Therefore,
Panic was in Castle.
Yeah, but Panic is free this week, so they can go help you if someone.
No, we're in Castle.
But I'm saying we just took Valencia last week while they were in Castle. So
one of you is always free to go help the other one at Siege, and you always go drop with the other one if it's a fight, because you know that you need both of you to do shit at Siege.
But didn't we just take Valencia without Panic? That's what I'm saying. What you're saying doesn't make sense.
You 5v2'd Sacred or some shit. Congrats on a
cap. 5v2 Sacred. It's not what happened.
Yeah, man, they didn't 5v2. They 6v4ers, bro. Get that shit right.
Oh, my bad. Sorry.
He's 6v4. So I think this is a good question. Let's ask this, right? Because we talk about all these guilds that are dropping on territories. Flow goes, we got Threat, we got Defy and Arsha. That's our 4 alliance. But Electric has dropped on Siege with them for 3 weeks in a row. But we're not going to talk about them as an alliance member. So here's the real question. these
30
smaller
people?
guilds coming up.
I've drive twice in
Can I finish what
and
I was saying,
I
please?
literally have 10 people.
One at a
Finish what I was
time.
saying.
One at a
Listen,
time.
I'd like to
listen.
just finish my thought, and then y'all can talk. 'Cause I was
Let
gonna ask
Straps
y'all a
talk.
question.
Let Straps talk.
All these guilds that are coming up out of T1, T2, T3, they're getting their notes. They want to show up on Siege either for the money or they want to show up and participate. They can't just jump in and attack at anybody, right? They want to find a way that they can get involved in a fight in a healthy way, right? Doesn't matter where these guilds came from, they drop on a node, y'all determine they're with somebody. The real question is, what do you expect these guilds to do, right? People talked about Defy being with Nameless for almost a full year, but they're with Flow right now. All they did was have a conversation. Defy was just dropping, trying to get involved in fights, right? They attacked us some weeks, they attacked y'all some weeks. People don't care about the weeks they attacked us. We didn't complain. It just happened. Defy wants to get involved. What are they supposed to do? There's only 3 territories. Where are they supposed to go? What is y'all suggestion to these guilds trying to get involved?
Are we gonna keep it real as big guilds and give them a castle to fight over? That's on us.
Well,
what does that mean? Put that in
we
a
first gonna
perspective.
pretend that there isn't DMs of like Thunder messaging Defy to go fight Flow or we're gonna kill you?
The reason you're in an alliance with Threat right now is because you were DMing them on multiple node wars when you showed up and we were there alone. So like, we can talk about DMs all the time, but those DMs aren't visible.
Are you saying Flow?
What you should do is answer the question.
Wait, hold on.
One at a time.
Are you
One at a
saying
time.
Flow wouldn't
Just
One at a
mute
time.
one. Just mute one so they can go one at a time.
Look. All right, so what you just said right there, you're saying we messaged Defy or Threat because you were on the node with us. Are you saying Flow wouldn't 1v1 you, that we needed Defy to fight you, or needed Threat to fight you? Is that what you're saying?
I didn't say anything about what you needed. I said you messaged them.
I promise.
We could talk about Defy when they showed up on a siege and you messaged them. We can talk about Defy and when
you to 1v1 you. I will tell them to walk off.
We can talk about Defy, and the whole reason that they were in this mess before they got with you guys is you messaged them and decked them and talked about you guys allied with them, you're fucked now because they chose to show up one week and fight Threat who they had a beef with, right? So like my whole point is just to say these guilds want to get involved. Why are you not making them offers if I've made it clear and had conversations with people like these dudes are just trying to get involved? We don't even have fucking conversations with half of these people. Why don't y'all get them involved? Why don't you make them a fucking offer? Because obviously you got Defy. We didn't fucking have a deal with them. You talk to them, you have them now. Why don't you talk to all of these 17 guilds we have then?
So we're trying to keep the lie that you don't message guilds, right?
Are you gonna answer my question? Why isn't anybody recruiting these fucking guilds?
I need to know if you're gonna keep up the charade that you don't message these guilds prior to Siege to go fight someone.
I dropped on Valencia just last week. It was Nameless. It was Panic, or not Panic. It was Nameless. It was Sound. It was Ominous and Way. If Adrenaline and Revolt drop their fort, who am I to tell them that they can't be on a fucking siege? I found out that there was extra forts when you did, brother. What do you have to say?
Revolt because
I don't know about that.
Revolt has said that you tell them to help Zerg the castle. So I mean that's kind of weird that you don't message them, but they have messages with you.
If Revolt drops on the siege and they're on the north side locked in a fight with Conviction, who is right next to them, what are they supposed to do after we just killed all of Sacred's allies? They supposed to just die?
Why are you messaging them?
What's the smart play?
Why are you messaging them?
I didn't say I messaged them at all.
So
you got part-time allies?
Okay.
Y'all are moving away from my point. What are they supposed to do, and why aren't y'all making them offers?
Why do we?
I'm sitting telling you. I'm sitting here telling you, like, they aren't in my alliance. Why aren't y'all getting them involved? It's a free ally. Why aren't you taking it?
We don't want more allies. What's so hard to understand?
Yeah, real quick.
So,
why the fuck? Why the fuck?
All right. Listen.
Cool
All right, straps. Pull your point, and then straps.
Fine.
Straps.
What are they supposed to do when you just said we don't fucking want you? Who are they supposed to attack? They know they're gonna die and not get no money.
Whoever they want,
whoever they fucking want. Don't message them.
Cool. So when Revolt placed and was next to Conviction and attacked Conviction,
That was their choice. They did what y'all just said you wanted them to do. That's what they did.
But I'm telling you,
what's the
that's not what
problem?
happened because you guys told them to. There's fucking DMs. The sound DM them like, yeah, hey, we're here. Go attack this person. Help Nameless. What are you talking about right now?
What are these guilds supposed to do when there are 3 territories and they drop on a territory every week and there's already people there?
I think what he's talking about is locked out. Guys. I think
Well, they knew what they signed up for.
All right, hold up, Thug. Hold up, Thug. Go ahead, Jane.
You can't argue it both ways. Originally, the point of view was that guilds get locked out unless they're in an alliance. So, and when I had mentioned, I was listening to Zen earlier on his stream. He was saying, like, if you're a T1 guild and you're going to go into a node war, if you're not in an ally, if you're not in their alliance, they don't care whether you're on your own or in another one, you die, you get locked out. I think that might be what Straps is sort of talking about. What in that position is Defy or Revolt or whoever it was is meant to do.
Flo has given Revolt nodes before. We've given them siege payouts. We've done all this shit before, right? We're not going into a node unless like Jay said, if it's Lucid placing on a fucking T5, yeah, we're burning them as fast as we can because we're only 4th there. Sorry, you shouldn't be there. If it's a T3, we're not locking these guilds out unless they're in Nameless's alliance. That's just how it is. So these random guilds that will show up on T3s and T4s, we're not going out of our way to lock them out. We're not CTGing on their fort beforehand. So you're asking, oh, Revolt just placed on siege. I had to message them to go fight Conviction because they were there. I had to message them, is what your argument is. But
I didn't even say I messaged them. I just said they're part
I'm
near
telling
Conviction.
you messaged them because
So
I've seen
let's
the
have a
DMs.
conversation about Defy, right? So we Defy way back months ago, right? They drop on a siege. They say, hey, we're on this siege. We want to fight threat. We have a beef with them. Can we go and do that? So I don't care. Oh, okay. What are we supposed to do to regulate that?
You're talking about the Calpheon siege, right? Because originally, when I
it's
talked
happened
to the
a few times.
when I talked to the 5 before that siege, they were going to go fight. I think it was MMR or Revolt, one of those two, right? Because they were placed rather close to each other. And then mid siege, they're telling me Thunder talked to the Defy leadership. Darsh, I think, said something. He's like, "Yeah, we had to go push threat, or they're going to kill us after." Kind of weird.
Okay, if Defy drops on a territory and they've messaged us before and said, "Hey, we're on this territory. We see that you're here. We're about to do this or we're about to do that." We've told them before, you can do whatever you want, but obviously, if you attack one of our allies, we are going to kill you. And I think that's reasonable.
Yep.
Right? But what is their option? They have to attack someone's alliance, and they make a choice.
Your only option is to attack the Flow Alliance, or else we're going to Zerg you after we Zerg them.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we give them the choice to say, do what you want. If you choose to work with the other side, we're going to kill you. That only makes sense, right? If they're attacking Weight of the Dawn in the back, which has happened before on Siege where we've got jumped, right? We went to a Siege before. Are you not listening to what I'm saying? I'm telling you, these guilds drop. And when they look at the territory and see who's there, they message to say, hey, we're here, right? We're here. We don't want to get in any beef because that's the biggest thing that these guilds are worried about. They don't want beef in Node War. They don't want beef in Siege. They don't want to get decks. They say, hey, we don't want to start beef. We want to do this. We want to fight so-and-so. What should we do? And we tell them, you can do what you want. You can work with them. You can attack Weight of the Dawn. You can attack Threat. You can do what you want. But if you attack us, obviously, we're going to kill you while you're on our ally, right? I think that's fair. Now, what is the conversation that's happening on y'all side? Y'all are making us believe there is no conversation. What I am saying, why don't you open the conversation with these guilds who are trying to find a way to get involved and say, hey, I'm going to just let you know, if you attack that guild Weight of the Dawn over there, you'll get a payout today. We're going to let you live. That's it. Why y'all don't have to work with them and secure nodes? We're not fucking securing nodes for extra fucking guilds. Why don't you just make an offer to them in Seed when you see they're there and say that? What's the problem with that? What they want to get involved, and y'all aren't giving them an option.
But I do want to bring up
if they want to be involved, just let them be involved on their own accord, nigga. You don't gotta fucking message niggas to tell them what to do.
They are. If you listen, they get on the siege. They see who's there. They message us. If you want to know why they message us, it's because we own 2 territories for 5 months straight, and y'all didn't push them. So we sat there, and all these little guilds who were trying to grow up and get more money said, hey, we're just going to drop on this territory. Please don't kill us so we can get money. There's not even a fight on the fucking territory. You rotate the castle. You let them get that little payout. No harm, no foul. Because of that, they come to us to say, we're here, right? And then Defy has that option to say what they want to do. I didn't say nothing about messaging them. I'm telling you that they message us. Maybe they would message you if you gave them an option, and I would like you to. That's what I would like for you to
I'm sure
message
you
them.
would like us to pick more alliance members up so you could fucking say it was a fair fight even though they're a fucking T1 guild. But
I mean, you can't argue both ways, though.
Look,
you
don't have to pick up every fucking T1 guild that comes to Node War and Siege in your alliance.
You keep talking about picking them up, but you're not listening to what I'm saying. They're going to be here regardless of whether you tell them to or not. They're here. We all want more guilds. We want them to be competitive. We want them to be involved. Every person in here would love to drop on a siege with 15 forts and fight whoever the fuck is there and feel like it's plenty of people that you can battle with. That's good for everybody. So why are we stifling these guilds? Back in before the deck changes, it was you work with so and so, we're fucking decking you.
Bro, what are you
Flow and Sacred are infamous.
What are you
for,
talking about?
Right?
You literally
these guilds are trying.
You literally just said when they talk to you, you're like, attack anyone not in my alliance, or we're gonna kill you. What? That's their option. You're saying, no, they're not working with us.
I think that's a little different than just clearly saying you can do what you want, but like any common sense person would say, if you attack my alliance, obviously we're going to kill you. It doesn't make sense for me to fight a fight and have some guild attacking our guys the entire time, and then after it's over say, hey, I know you did that for your content, so we're just gonna let you slide by. That's not how the game has ever worked, and it doesn't make sense when people are doing that, fucking up your siege. Yeah, nobody would do that. It doesn't make sense.
They know damn well they wouldn't do that shit.
All right, so all right, listen up. So what I will say, go ahead.
Real quick, just to answer this, hey, Ahu.
Oh yeah, I wanted to say, he said I dropped 3 weeks in a row. He forgot we dropped on Medaya so my guys can use stones, and Sound and Nameless was at my fort the first 5 minutes of that siege. I dropped med for my guys to use my stones. I'll drop on capped. It doesn't matter. We just drop randomly, and we bring like 10 guys, and I sit on my watch and shoot. Like, we don't really do shit when we drop to siege.
Yeah,
so I don't know what you're.
What about that Val siege, right? We let you fight. Was it 3 guilds and Flo just left?
Yeah, we fought 2 Ravens for like 2 hours. It was like the worst 2 hours of my fucking life, dude. And yeah, but we 1v1 2 Ravens on Val after we lost on Med.
What was this fucking Medaya fight?
Right. Just making it clear that guilds can drop. Guilds can drop without directions of the bigger guilds there, and they can do their own thing. You don't have to go out of your way to fucking mess.
When was this Medaya fight?
3 weeks ago. I have a clip of me and the Huacha shooting at your ball at my base.
So all I'm gonna say about this is that typically you GMs and GAs, right? You guys know how big a certain alliance is. Obviously, there could be a surprise with certain guilds, right? However, y'all typically know, and it's all up to you. It's typically up to you. But at the end of the day, just make corrections for the future and push on and see if we can try to make more content. Because at the end of the day, the purpose of the stream is, to talk about alliances. If you want to dish out somebody, by all means, go ahead and dish out somebody. But at the end of the day, we want to do what we can do, what's best for our platform in terms of if and whenever we get what we expect in terms of whatever PC is getting, right, for our platform, right? So, Rodello, that being said, go ahead and continue on with your next question.
Well, I think we kind of, I think they just burned through. Basically, they argued amongst each other. My whole question, like they went ahead and jumped into, I believe, one of your questions. So I feel like we should just like go ahead and talk about that question.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what was,
So
what was even the question, bro?
we could talk about it. So the question was, can you describe some of the roles and some of the allies that were within your? Well, listen, hold up, Jay. Hold up, Jay. Who were your allies within your alliance? All right, and what were their roles within that alliance? So we'll start off with you, Conflict, because you're at the top. For me, so
I was just asking because that conversation had nothing to do with this shit at all.
Right. But Conflict, go ahead. No, go ahead. Elaborate, and then Sacred, you can go, and then from there, Nameless or Panic, whoever wants to speak forward, and we go from there. All right.
So I just said for like our alliance is only 4 guilds, and most of the time we're outnumbered. So the roles are really just everyone takes the guild that they can handle the best, and hopefully another guild wins their fucking 1v1 and comes to help. It's pretty much all we got.
What was your forwards? Flow, Arsha, Threat, and...
Oh yeah, Flow, Arsha, Threat, Defy.
Defy, alright. Alright, Jay?
It's just Sacred, Sacrament, and Pacto.
You don't want to describe their
No conviction,
roles,
or?
just...
Oh, you want me to... No conviction. We don't message them niggas like y'all do. They just drop and do what they want.
We don't message.
Anyways. So I know a nigga with 20 guilds not talking to me.
But if conviction drops on
shut up, I'm talking, shut up. Anyways, it's just us, Sacrament, Pacto, and then I guess those guilds aren't really that strong. I'm not gonna sit here and lie that they are. They're obviously on the weaker side of the other guilds. But it is what it is, whatever. The main thing is that they can mainly get their own nodes. So that's good enough for me, bro. I really don't care. As long as you can get your own shit, then you can fuck with us, bro. It doesn't matter to me.
Alright, and between Panic or Nameless, I don't know which one's the alliance leader, but one of y'all can go ahead and speak for y'all.
Yeah, we just got Ami, or Ominous, Way of the Dawn, Nameless, Panic, and Sound. As far as like roles, I don't think roles are too scripted out and defined. That definitely for any of us, alliance-wise, like in ours or everybody else's. I think it's kind of case by case, depending on what the fight looks like. So I wouldn't really say there's any like too specific roles for anybody.
Anybody got like anything to like say about that?
Wait, I just zoned out. What was his allies again?
Why don't you just say what you wanted to say?
Nah, I'm gonna let him rebuttal.
Nah, why don't you just say what you wanted to say?
I'm gonna let him rebuttal off that. Nah, cause I'm speaking from my perspective, not from a guild perspective. So I'm just letting the guilds, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we got zoned out.
Anybody want to speak?
How many guilds did he list off?
How many guilds did you mention?
I think what Strap said is accurate. I don't think
this is literally just gonna be an argument. So if
well, I mean, when you turn it into one, right?
I think we could pick more productive.
Obviously, nobody agrees.
Right?
Nobody agrees.
No one's gonna agree on
this.
Just keep going. I think that's one thing we agree on.
All right.
I'm gonna just say with your chest, Josh. I can't understand you.
I don't really know who you are, Jay, by the way, but
yeah, you do.
The most argumentative person
here. Yeah, you do. You know me, little bro.
Your name's Jay.
Everybody knows
You're
me.
probably younger than me, to be fair.
Everybody knows me, little guy.
But
anyways, let's continue on.
You fucking yap your mouth all the time.
So okay, so real quick.
Jerry has the next question. Go ahead.
Yeah, before this gets dumber than it needs to be. To kind of just bounce off of that, we've listed off your guys' alliances. We know what they do. But what helps you choose what guilds are accepted into your alliance? Jay kind of touched on that a little bit, but kind of want to hear what everyone else has to say about it. And then, Conflict, you first.
I mean, for Flo's Alliance, like I said, we went solo after we got bored of our other one. Then eventually we picked up a small guild, just third at the time, helped them build up, and we got some decent fights out of that. Then I think it wasn't until Sacred started sitting on Castle where we had to pick up Arsha because Nameless was like 8 stacking territories. At that point, Arsha just left Sacred and agreed to come fight with us while Sacred sat. We gotten some good fights out of that shit, but there have been other guilds that have reached out to us before that we just straight up ignored because they're just not worth the extra hassle of passing nodes, doing this, that. I think Defy was our most recent pickup because it gave us more options on Node Wars. So like us and Threat could play somewhere, or Threat and Arsha could play somewhere, and we could drop somewhere with Defy. We could still have a decent fight considering every node that we're going to go to is either going to be no fight or it's going to be Nameless Alliance with 4 guilds. Like on Valencia, I think it was a 3v2 some shit last week. It wasn't a bad fight, but at the end of the day, it was better because we had Defy there. So we only pick up guilds off of, will it give us content or not? We're not trying to deal with the extra hassle of headaches dealing with all these people in Discord. That's really it for us.
Yeah, especially because I know most of the guild would agree that having to pass node 5, 6, 7 times, whatever it may be, 4 is already a lot to us, but having to do more would just be kind of wild. No one would agree with it. Jay, do you want to say anything about your guys' side?
About what?
So you already touched on it, about what basically qualifies for you taking a guild under your wing. Is it just simply, if you can handle your shit, we'll take you in, or?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. If you don't need us to get you a node and babysit you, if you can get your node on your own, then it's fine. And obviously if you bring people for Siege, like a good enough number, like at least like 60 or some shit along there, like 60 plus at least. But the main thing is just being able to get your own node. If you can get your own node, then you're fine.
But yeah, I agree with that. And then Straps, you want to take it?
Yeah, I think the big question, obviously everybody is going to feel as though they want those guilds to be able to kind of be self-sufficient and get their own stuff. But I think when it comes to actually letting guilds into the alliance, the question you kind of ask is what do they change about the type of fights that you are able to create if you bring them in, which because of just the strength of a lot of guilds that are coming up into the scene, there's not a lot of change they can make in a lot of situations. So they don't have that opportunity clearly to get involved with any of our alliances because of that. Because no one feels like dealing with the hassle of helping them out.
Okay, so a little bit of a side thing, because I agree with what you're saying, but a side thing is, obviously we don't want any content right now, we want the game performance to work, but say PA were to open up Balanos Siege again, would that be cause for you guys to maybe suggest dropping guilds from your alliance? And that way there'd be a 4th alliance instead of just what we have currently?
I think that'd be fucking huge to just... A lot of those guilds, I think, just want to be involved in Siege and probably would love to be able to fight each other and not have to deal with any of us. I don't think they want to fight any of us, to be honest. They should be able to do that.
We absolutely need a 4th territory. That'd be awesome for the...
I agree.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
It should be locked T2 down as well. None of us should be able to access it.
Yep, I agree too.
No, I agree too. We should definitely have either Camasilvia or some sort of Balanos or Serendia territory for these guilds that we may consider, and if you're in this podcast, that you're probably performing more than likely at a tier 3/tier 4 level, right? So by all means, I completely agree. With that being said, we are going to go ahead and bump into the next question. J Ray, we're gonna go with number 7, by the way.
So that was already said.
With what? Who participates?
Yeah, so we're on.
All right.
On you.
All right.
9.
All right.
9.
9.
Yeah.
All right. So my question to the GMs and GAs, right, are do you feel that alliances are holding other guilds and or players with their progression? I know from Panic side between Zen and Josh, y'all kind of already been asked this question. However, again, my question is, do you feel that alliances are holding other guilds and players back from their progression? Because at the end of the day, every guild, their end game goal should be to be the top guild, right?
Specifically,
I would assume,
back.
right? I would assume that every guild's motive is to be the top in, the whole Cho Nation of NA console, right? But
For the most part, I think as far
yeah,
as the specific question you asked, do alliances hold back their progression? No, I think alliances help their progression. Right? Whether that means they don't get locked out of nodes, that could be their only benefit. That's a help, right? It could mean that they get second or third place or something like that. That's a help, right, to their progression. So I think, yeah, alliances definitely help players' progression, even if it's a little bit, right? I don't think there's any negative to progression. I think the main negative is content related, not progression related.
Right. Okay, fair enough. I mean, because I see
a little bit.
As much as I would agree and disagree, I do agree because smaller guilds, them getting that extra silver, it definitely helps them towards their next gain, right? I disagree. The only
100%.
reason why I disagree is because people like me, as a hard cap player, right? Obviously, I'm going to disagree. Is because we're not chasing fights, right? From supposedly the alleged in-game guilds, right? So I know it's biased, but at the same time, that's just my perception of the whole alliance thing, right?
No,
But
that's a fair take.
yeah, right. All right. Conflict from Flow Alliance.
Yeah, it depends what they come in at, right?
Right.
So I'll use Thread as an example. When we picked them up, they weren't a full guild. They weren't pulling many people for Node War. They weren't beating guilds like Sound. And you look at them now, they're pretty much beating everyone but Panic, Nameless, Arsha. So obviously they've improved. But as far as like, you take a look at your big guilds, it's like your average Nameless and Panic player. Has it helped them progress knowing, for the most part, they're going to Node Wars. They're just zerging the guild off, right? They're on caps, they're zerging the guild, they're just throwing bodies at a fort. Is that helping those geared players use their gear or learn how to PvP? No, and you can see it in open world when they do PvP. Your average Flow Sacred member is taking 1vxing Nameless and Panic. It just is what it is. We see it all the time. Now, are there good Nameless members? Yeah. But those people coming into Nameless that only know cap zerging, is it good for them? Fuck no. All they know is throwing bodies at something. That's my opinion on that. But if you take a guild like the smaller guilds and you help them build up, then yes, it's good for them.
Okay. Fair enough. Straps or Josh, do y'all have anything to say? And I didn't forget about you, the tier 1 guilds, by the way. So I do want to hear your input on this in terms of the alliance topic. So after Panic and Nameless have said their piece, then you by all means y'all go ahead and speak your piece.
I'd just say yeah. I just say it allows these guilds to grow in an alliance for sure. Just off the sense that these, kind of tracking back to that question even earlier, a lot of these guilds, if solo, their members eventually will leave to go to some place where they can get money. That definitely does change things a bit. I do think they can grow as a guild, though. I think it just has a cap on it with an alliance, in a sense. I think at a certain point, you'll kind of hit a plateau. And the hard part is then being able to move alliance or make a new alliance or drop solo is something that is extremely difficult. So yeah, I do think it helps, but I think it has a cap on that progression at a certain point.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes.
Right.
We can hear you now.
Internet. I apologize. I may have missed some of it because internet
you're
things. But
Oh.
about the guild progression, one thing I've been kind of concerned about, because that's what you're up to, yeah? I have this, I really wanted to know if you feel like if someone's in an alliance with you guys, and I know you've already touched on this, Blazian, but do you feel like being in an alliance or a smaller guild will affect their ability to work on their composition? Like they're not really thinking about it because they have you. They're not working on their as much of their skill, they're not learning and absorbing strategies and tactics.
It probably gives them more opportunity to see their comp in action, if anything.
Do they, or do they just show up and do what they're told?
Well, if
some guilds.
It depends. It depends, right? Every night is different. It all depends on who's there, how many people are there. You know, is one of the guilds going for their node, like siege ticket, right? Because that's a big part of the scene now, right? Is the siege tickets.
Right. Yes.
So
for siege, yes.
And I think we said it earlier. Like if that wasn't a thing, that'd be awesome. So like if PA would, you know, maybe.
Are you guys still on the same question?
That'd be cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's my turn.
Sorry, I moved this part.
Go ahead, Jay.
What was the question again?
So the question is, how do you feel like being in alliance is holding back other guilds or players in terms of progression?
You mean like in terms of like gear progression, or
it could be
like
gear progression or even
progression?
guild. It's more so both. Obviously, gear it's probably gonna be positive,
I'll just say
but
both.
Yeah,
I'll just comment on both. Gear wise, hold on. Gear wise, it's not, because obviously it's free money. So, you know, obviously money is better for gear. But like, as to be like a better guild, yes, because everyone is so dependent on whatever other guild they're with to actually do anything at all. So that's pretty much it.
Okay. Doug, do you have anything to say real quick?
Yeah, I agree with everyone's points here. As far as gear, yes, it does help them grow as a guild and get money to gear up their members. But as a guild in general, as far as performance, I don't think it helps them at all, because they don't fight actual fights, and when they do fight actual fights, they get ran over, and it's just how it is when you're just used to body bagging forts, unfortunately.
Correct. In terms of the tier 1 scene, the tier 1/tier 2. Wobs or Glide, what do y'all have to say for the tier 1, tier 2 scene in terms of like how do you feel this is affecting your guild or people within your guild in terms of the progression?
In terms of it, I think T1s mostly help on skill progression over money, because the T1s don't really give you too much for your gear, but definitely as a team, as a guild, it definitely helps you learn to fight together, because you have to fight together. So being allied with maybe a smaller guild will definitely help them survive to be able to experience more of the node war, and then as in turn will help them be able to learn either what classes are strong or help them to fight with each other better, because it takes 10 skills to kill people.
Right. Correct. I agree. Coming as a subcaster, I agree. Anybody else?
Soras, Black Kai, you guys got anything?
I think.
I mean, I think that is just depending on what your guild is trying to go. If they're actively trying to get better, you can find ways to get better in an alliance with setup fights or whatever the case may be. It really just depends on what your goal is. Your guild is really trying to do. If you got a bunch of members that's really joining just specifically for money, then hell no, you're never going to improve. If it's the other way around and you want fights or a balance, then yeah, you can find a way to get better.
Okay.
I mean,
and out of curiosity,
literally 2 T1 guilds put together.
Okay. And out of curiosity, because I know we kind of skip introductions, but who are you? Just name who you are and what guild you represent.
Sounds GM.
Okay. Appreciate that, big dog.
Yeah.
So that being said, any alibis for that question? Nope.
Oh, looks like it's good.
Jane, go ahead.
I think
that's me. All right. So
yeah,
I've already asked 2 questions, kind of lit a fire under y'all a little bit. This one might light a little bit of a fire on y'all. I don't know. But do you feel like the larger guilds in your alliance is poaching members from the smaller guilds in your alliance? And does that affect or create tension in your said alliance? Alpha, you start.
Well, I know people are gonna have a mixed opinion about this one, but for the most part, my leadership will tell you I never for poaching. If we're in an alliance and someone comes to me, 9 out of 10 times I want to say no. It isn't until that person is like dead set, they're dropping guild and they're either gonna go to Nameless or Sacred. That's like, okay, we'll take them. That's really the only situation that comes in. Even back when we were allied with Panic and Nameless, I know people would be like, oh, we took Philo, Og, Dooley, and all these people. It took weeks for them to convince me to even do that shit. Because I was like, nah, it'll kill the Alliance, whatever. But then when the Alliance got boring, everyone wanted to do it, so they just dropped guild and came over anyways. I don't think I've ever been in an Alliance where we've hard poached anyone, to be honest. Or as long as I've been GM, at least.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, let's go ahead, Straps.
So, being on both sides of it, kind of being the smaller guild of an alliance in the first year of the game, and kind of being one of the bigger guilds later on, poaching, actual hard attempts at poaching definitely happens. Seen it in guilds before. You kind of see it to some extent every alliance, but I think to some extent a lot of that isn't intentional shit. I think a lot of people, when they go and they start to get better, if they don't feel like the guild growth is where they want, or they just, some people get restless, they want to go to a new guild that they feel is a little stronger, and you prefer for that to be your alliance in most cases, which like I said, in the past when we've had people join the stronger guilds of our alliance, you prefer for it to be in that same alliance, but the trick is really just that the leadership and the core members of that guild they're going to aren't making hard attempts and hard passes at them to make that jump. I think that's the key, is you don't want people actively going out and trying to do that. To some extent, it's going to happen, though. I mean, it's just a part of the game anyway. If you weren't in an alliance, those people would still be the same people who would leave guild eventually anyway. So, yeah, just my take on it.
Okay.
Josh?
Yeah, I'll keep my answer on this pretty short. I think that poaching definitely happens, right? Obviously, but I sort of look at the 100 spots in a guild, right? You're gonna have, for most of like the big guilds at least, a lot of us are full, right? Or at least close to being full. So you're gonna have your core, right? The people that are just like ride or die, they're part of the group till it's gone, right? Then you have people that may stay for a year or whatever. It's a revolving door, and some people come through more often than others, right? In our scene, being as small as it is, in the high-end PvP scene, there's a lot of people that have been in a bunch of these guilds that are here right now, right? 3 or 4 or even more of them. So yeah, I think poaching happens. A lot of the times it's intentional. A lot of the times it's not. But I think it's just part of the game. Like, people move around, So you're gonna have your cores that stay. You're gonna have your people that are not part of the core, so they'll leave. Some people stay for 3 months. Some people stay for 3 weeks.
How do the smaller guilds feel about? I'm not suggesting that you're small, but how do say Kai and Glyco and Soul? How have you lost a lot of members with them moving up the chain, kind of, so to speak? Not trying to be disrespectful, but have you lost a lot of members that you feel has been due to poaching or not, or you feel it's just natural progression?
No.
All right. what I will say on this, and the reason why it is a question, because between Jane being the host and the rest of us partners being the co-host, right? The reason why we bring it up is because I've seen it from all guilds, right? Whether it's from Sacred, Flow, Nameless, Panic, certain guilds, they decided to gain more strength from smaller guilds within that alliance. And the topic is being brought up because as any guild GM or GA or even officer, right? The purpose of that guild is to be eventually, hopefully, to become the number one guild in that platform, right? But the question to all you GMs and or GAs within this podcast, right, is especially if you don't consider yourself to be the top 3 that can hold down a castle by yourself, or not even by yourself, but are you actually able to, do what you can do? And do you feel like the seniors of your alliance are poaching from your alliance? Conflict, we'll start off with you.
What do you mean, like saying we're poaching? Or...
No, well, in general, yes, but it's
might be a better
towards
question
obviously
to ask the smaller guilds instead of the heads.
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
guilds.
All right. So we'll start off with electric, sound and sacrament. How do y'all feel? What is your intake on that?
At least for me, when people poaching for me, it's just people who don't want to do T1s anymore, which is perfectly fine. T1s is not for everyone, and it could be kind of annoying when I have a 730 guy fighting with chimeras and the Kainek and like 5 elixirs. So for me, the poaching doesn't really matter because we're kind of more for fun and just chill T1s. And I mean, for me, I do have to leave because I do have to shot call my node war. So I do want to say thank you for having me because I do have to go shot call for my node war today.
You're all right.
Brother,
Thanks
for coming.
Yeah, node war starts in 5 minutes.
All right, have a good weekend, guys.
All right, bro. Yeah, appreciate it.
Does anybody else in here have to go to Node War?
Yeah, I gotta go.
I am going to node war, but I'm not shot calling or anything. So.
Okay. Like, does anybody have to leave this call for Node War?
I'm gonna have to leave in about 10 minutes, so I'll touch a little bit on that topic, that question that you just put up.
All right, Chad, I just muted that shit.
From what I've seen for the past
this shit is funny, but I just muted it.
A lot of it is 50-50. Yes, the player would leave a smaller guild if they feel like the guild's not progressing. But a lot of the big problem is money. Players want to go into a bigger guild or whatever guild rotates the castle the most. That's what I've seen so much as far as people leaving, going into a bigger guild. They want to go to the guild that's getting paid. It's kind of the vibe that all the players have right now.
Yeah.
So it's 50-50.
Well, let's
John
wrap it
Boards
up.
is muted. However, I still hear the shit.
One final question. Since everyone seems to feel that alliances will not end,
oh my!
Do you guys be prepared to switch things up for a week? Where we would.
If you're talking about doing like fights where we can switch up the teams and stuff, I think that would be. Yeah. It could be fun. Yeah, that could be fun.
How do you think that should roll? 3v3?
It would. So the first thing, we would have to have some sort of platform where everyone could sort of talk to each other, right? All of the people that sort of organize the node wars can talk to each other on a platform together, and then we can just set up fights. But if there has to, and we can sort of,
about removing
if y'all are trying to like swap teams around, I think that could be fun too. But we just need to do it to where, the more equal, the more fun, right? So
right.
Blazian had a good idea, and so did Radello. Do you want to discuss your idea, Blazian? And Radello, what the ideas?
I know one of the ideas is, if as you guys as GMs and GAs, right, of all these guilds, right, whether it be from any tier, from 1 up to 5, you got would you guys be willing to do like a guild v guild tournament? Because like everyone says, oh, this guild's number 1 or 2 or 3 or so forth. But we don't actually know, right? We're just basing it off certain guilds
Yeah,
and
we do.
their hypothesis.
Yeah, we do.
Right? I
Yeah,
mean,
we kind of do. But
you kind of do, but at the end of the day, you'd be surprised, right? We don't know. Yes, most guilds. Yeah, there's been occasions where some guilds have 1v2'd or 1v1 on a node war, right? Because of coincidence. But at the end of the day, for the rest of the guilds, whether it be the top 1, 2, 3, or so forth, we don't know that. But it doesn't have to be just about the GVG between 1v1.
I disagree on
What do you mean?
but we have a rough
What do you mean in the
idea.
guild v guild tournament? Like you mean?
It's just for node wars in general.
Oh,
because some guilds will say certain
right,
guilds.
come on.
Now, obviously, Siege is a different story because maybe Sacred, allegedly the number 1 guild, right, might be considered number 1. But what if one Saturday they pull only 70 people and all of a sudden a guild like Sound or even Panic, right? They just pull up and they just turn up on that shit. But that's my thing. Would you guys be willing to do some shit like that? And that's just one example. But the
Like
original
1v1s and stuff.
It would just be 1v1s. We can have our own tournament. We can talk about it offline. It won't be during this stream.
Can I just say one thing before I hop out of here?
What's up, Doug?
I gotta hop out in a minute. I got dinner to go to, but can I just say, we have all the leaderships in here.
What's up?
Park your fucking beef, park your fucking egos, and let's have some good fucking fights. All right,
Okay.
stop being bums.
I get what you're saying.
You for having me.
Yep. I get you, Doug, and we'll reach out.
I'll let you know what happens. I'll let you know.
Doug from Marsha. But that being said, all right, so Arsha is considered down for whatever, right? As a siege guild / node war. But it doesn't have to be just a node war v node war versus guild versus guild. That being said, it could be, it could be a siege versus siege or whatever. And it could be it can be an alliance fight. It could be a alliance fight, but let's switch it up.
It doesn't need to be any certain thing. All we really need is a platform where everybody can talk to each other about that sort of thing, right? And like 1 week it could be this, 1 week it could be that.
Right,
1 week
right,
we could take
exactly.
A break, 1 week it could be something else.
It should at least it should at least be a weekly thing. And the reason why I say this as a siege player / node war player or whatever you want to consider me as, I say this because like it doesn't have to be an everyday topic, but like at least once a week to build our own content. And you guys as GM and GAs, you have the power to control that shit. Now, whether or not you have
it'd be fun.
Right. And whether or not you have members that want to participate in that, then that's on y'all. That's on you guys to make sure and ensure that you can maintain your members within your guild.
Or like hype it up or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I had an idea.
Go ahead, Jane.
It wasn't so much a 1v1 and trying to find rankings because, in my opinion, we've all got kind of a rough idea. But what if we were to do like a 3v3 and take your communication out of it? Because no offense, you've all kind of failed. So what if we were to do where we can either randomize teams, put it in a hat. We could do it like basketball, pick one of the lower guilds, Team A, Team B, and then they can pick their teams. Shake it up. But no offense, I really don't think you guys should be a part of that conversation. But how about you trust me to put it together, to pick some teams and do a 3v3?
No.
So the only issue, and no offense,
I'm muting
Jane,
you, Jay.
because I like you, Jane. But I think that the community would do a better job at organizing the fun fights because we sort of participate in those fights. Well, the efforts there's no platform, right, where everyone, like how we were sort of talking about a minute or two ago, a platform.
You're in it.
Would be great.
You built a Discord for all the GMs. And the fights still fail. And this isn't about the leaders. This isn't about the GMs. I'm not suggesting that for you. I'm suggesting it for the average members in your guild that go along with decisions you make and the alliances you're in and the consequences to them. It's an opportunity for the average member in a guild to play somewhere, not necessarily know who they're going to be fighting against, maybe have a different ally and shake things up a little bit. You have that platform. You've all built a Discord. You're all in it. Nothing ever comes from it.
I think if we were to set up, like for you, let's say that you are choosing the teams. If we were to have some type of agreed upon metric to say the actual, guild strength, and then kind of allow a third party to pick the teams. I do think that makes some sense. I think that in the past, when some of us try to do it, like, there's a lot of ego and shit that goes into it, and that is a big part of why that happens. At the same time, I do have doubts about everybody kind of getting on board and jumping into that the right way when the team doesn't look as good as they were hoping. We already have the issue where Sacred and Flow are the number 1 and 2 guilds of the game, but they fought one time in the past year and a half on Siege, right? So at the end of the day, people just don't want to fight. They will find out that the fight isn't what they want, and they just will say, "Oh, we don't want to go." So I'd be down to work on it.
I'm gonna comment on that real quick.
On that.
I'm gonna comment real quick on that. It's not. I'm not trying to get into argument either. It's just. It's not really that we don't want to fight each other. It's just like we don't really fuck with y'all more.
Why don't you fight each other in the past year and a half?
I just told you why.
But because don't you care about your content, though?
Yeah, you guys are giving it to us. We're fine.
So you're waiting for us to provide you content.
Content's the same content as has been for a while. We just don't like y'all more, so we would rather fight y'all. That's literally all it is. There's no. I'm not trying to be toxic with it.
No, it's fine.
I'm not trying to be toxic. I'm literally just letting you know what it is. Like that's. Yeah, exactly.
I'm just saying.
What it is.
I'm just saying I don't like most of the people in this game, but regardless, that doesn't change the fact that you want to look for as many different fight opportunities and venues as you can, right? So it doesn't make much sense to me that we drop on Siege. Yeah, because we're giving it to you. But what I'm saying is, if we have 3 alliances and 3 territories, and all of us were simultaneously attacking each other in different volumes, then this whole thing that we're talking about with Jane is not even needed. If you guys actually go and attack each other as well, then there's a mix-up every week where people feel like when they go to leave off their territory, they're not fighting a full stack.
The main reason why both of our sides are focused on your side is because you have more people. You always do. You always will. That's literally the only reason. If you guys were not like if it was literally just you, Panic, and Sound, that's your alliance. That's it. Boom. Niggas would not be that toxic towards y'all. They would not be like, oh fuck Nameless, blah blah blah. They would not be like that as much. I'm telling you.
I mean, that's fine.
It's literally just because y'all got way more guilds. That's why people would rather focus you.
I think way more is a little bit of a stretch, but I'll take I'll talk to every guild that is in our alliance.
Definitely not.
I think most of us would gladly all sit on one territory for a week just to see the rest of the game participating in Siege without us having to force the hand. There's three alliances, and I think all 3 alliances should fight, and I think that allows opportunity for all of us to fight each other with different combinations instead of what currently happens where Flow and Sacred take whatever territory they're on, they sit on it, and they wait for us to come. And I think that while people are sitting complaining at the game is
man. I mean, the thing is, like, when you have more guilds,
the content better.
When you have more guilds, like, why would we push into you? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. You get what I'm saying? Like, when you have literally double our guilds, then why the fuck would we do that?
I can say this better than what you're trying to say.
Go ahead.
So let me ask you. So when Flow and it was just Flow and Threat before, right? So explain why Flow and Threat would drop somewhere, and you would 6-stack the territory and solo hold the other one. Explain to me your thought process there of like trying to set up fights and not just like Zerg us out as fast as you can.
What you're talking about didn't happen that often. That's my explanation.
Are you sure?
Oh, no. I would do a 1v1 with Flow. I would do a 2v2 with Flow. Anything like y'all, like any of that.
You would not 1v1 us on Node War and Siege because we've asked multiple times. I know you're just saying. You're just saying. No, you don't.
So just to confirm though, Conflict, you are not interested in fighting Sacred, and Jay, you are not interested in fighting.
I've offered to fight Sacred before on Node Wars. They'd say caps, and they won't uncap, you know. But
I'm just saying, I think the game needs everyone to fight each other.
You guys were on more. We fought each other before. I don't know what's hard to understand about that. But you're saying like
you fought one time in the past year and a half in Siege. I think that stifles the game. A year and a half ago, Nameless didn't have some super large alliance that y'all are talking about, right?
That's facts.
Right.
So
I'm not gonna go
why
into
is
the
it?
past because you get real upset about this one. We're not gonna.
Didn't you just bring up the
argument.
past to get us into this
I mean,
conversation?
we're gonna talk
Right?
about when before
Yeah, we're not
when you weren't in a fuck. You was just. So let's say, all right. Flo and Nameless were on different territories, right? You guys had Medaya, we had Valencia. You guys ruined your alliance with Grave Dad, begged us to come to Valencia, and then when Flo got bored on Medaya and with Panic and TBM, you guys came in so fucking fast when Panic asked you guys to come help them to Zergus.
Never
Instead of
pushed
just
when
letting
we
them.
were on Medaya and Panic was in Castle. Flo, this was the only time it happened, and I've got the screenshots if you say it's cap because it's not. Flo went to push Panic out of Castle. We were in an alliance together. Flo left after 45 minutes and cried because they couldn't take first gate.
Yeah, it's the ultimate cap I've ever heard. Maybe because we said we weren't going to bring people, and then Zen said, "Yeah, we'll just have a few people." Sure, maybe.
No, it's
but
fact.
I can
You
tell
had
you,
your whole guild and you couldn't fucking take first gate.
yeah,
That's
absolutely
fact.
not.
I have the screenshots. I mean, you want to bet? I'll put $1,000 on it right now.
Absolutely not.
Do you have a job?
So, listen. The point has been massively derailed. So listen, Josh, bro. So the point is like this would only be once a week. This fucking pull out of a hat serpentine style, pick system. Okay, and then also on top of it, it gives streamers that aren't partners, so people in Panic that are streaming, Sacramento that are streaming, whoever. This gives them content every day to look forward to. So that way, every week to get look forward to. So that way, one, it helps them, and two, it helps the community. And I think it'd be fun fights. Some fights are going to be, say it's sacred, all the Siege Guilds. Some fights you might have sacred flow and sound versus the rest of y'all. Some days you won't. Some days you'll have like flow, threat, and way to the dawn. Who knows? On the other side, like it's still good content, it's still good fights, and I don't think, especially with where we're at in this game on console and kind of how bad it is, it doesn't really matter who wins at that point. Because that's just one.
I don't mind losing. I want to win, right? But like, for the whole like setup, switching up the teams and doing like some fights, I'm down. That sounds fun to me. So.
It's like, think about it. Who would have thought that next week Flo, Panic, and fucking Sacred would be on a team together fighting Nameless and Arsha and all that? Like, it just adds like something different every week. So that's the main point of it.
I
Yeah,
reckon it'd be fun.
I agree. Jane, you want to take a lead on that?
I think doing that, like, if you're talking about Siege, that's definitely not gonna happen every week.
Definitely, yeah. That'd probably have to be a Node War.
Yeah. Node Wars only. We're gonna keep it small. We're gonna start small. The purpose of this is to start small. If it happens big, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, we just need to spice it up because as of right now, no alliance is getting any fights. I
agree.
On Node Wars, and if they do get a fight, it's just it just so happened to spawn upon. Right. It's rare.
I think Siege is just better for those guilds.
It's on us. And with Thug being doing whatever he's doing, right? But he pretty much vouched for it. So I'm gonna speak upon Arsha. But pretty much any guild is down to do that guild is down to do whatever. But once a week is all we ask, right? And it could be a Friday, the last day before Siege, that we just come together. We can come in whatever Discord it may be, and we can talk. That way there's a fight, and we could literally, recap on it. The next podcast the topic won't really be on about, the whole alliance system. However, it's going to be, we can recap what happened out of this outcome that we talked about today, right? But yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I probably wouldn't do it on a Friday. You definitely got to figure out, if people do want to do it, you got to figure out what the best node would be. And I'm pretty sure people wouldn't want to keep doing on the same node every week anyways.
Well, you have to do it later in the week because there's going to be guilds always worried about getting their placement for Siege, right? So.
Right, because at the end of the day,
and there shouldn't be because
at the end of the day, this whole alliance thing, we can talk about it. We could talk about it all we want, but at the end of the day, there's gonna be an alliance regardless, right? There's no gimme about that. So there's gonna be an alliance. So at least, hopefully, either whether it be Thursday or Friday, we could try to schedule something where that there is a fight within Node Wars that's not tier ones, because tier ones always has a fight on Friday, and J-Ray can vouch for me on that. And being in the tier one scene, every Friday is a fight. But in terms of the Siege community, there is no guaranteed fight. and that's on you GMs and GAs to spark that shit up. You know what I'm saying? So until we get GVG rankings and blue roses and all that bullshit AOS, like we have to come up with our own content to enjoy our platform the best way we can. So, and, you know, I'm hoping and I wish that you guys can, you know, do that, agree to this, and then we could do that.
Especially because I know every single one of you right now is not having that much fun. Like, what, I don't care if you're on an enemy alliance or you're in my alliance. I don't give two shits. I know we're all not really having fun. So let's try and make our fun, because yeah, PA has dropped the ball many times on a lot of stuff for us, but we can still make our own fun playing a video game. So.
Well, we can continue the conversation.
I would say I'm down for it. I would just say I think Siege is a better spot for those type of fights, just because it allows those smaller guilds to not get blown up by some weaker guild. And when you have like a thrown together alliance for that one fight, their communication isn't good enough to make sure that that guild that is the weakest getting focused by the strongest guild. You know, Sacred pressing on Defy. They can't even get out their base, and if you're on a siege, they're able to move a little better, you know.
So I agree with you, but the problem is, and something that we would have to work out over time, is that people would have to probably drop their castles or pass off their castles, if that may be the thing, to set up this fight between six people. So I would like to see it in Siege, but I think it's something that over time has to progress, not something we can set up this Sunday. This Saturday, sorry.
Nameless don't care. We can pass up castles, and I'll be honest, I think most the guys in our alliance would be cool with dropping them to set up a fight. Yeah. So that's on everybody else side, you know.
We're probably passing castle off anyways, but we would still need that time to get everybody able to actually place on the same territory, if that makes sense.
So we can set something up next Saturday then, in that sense.
Yeah, like we could start working towards the next Saturday.
We could off stream, obviously. And one thing I wanted to talk to you, the rest of you GMs and GAs that are currently present, is that, you know, hey, give me your, you know, anyone that streams, or whether it's YouTube or Twitch within your guild, so that way it's not only boosting them up and, you know, showing some love towards their streams, but people want to see, you know, if these guilds are gonna either do an alliance node war fight or a 1v1, we can stream. Someone's streaming it at all times. I know every guild has a streamer, even if it's just like on a low key. Every guild, literally every guild.
Everybody's streamers is good for just the game too, like in general.
Yeah, exactly. And for anyone that doesn't know, if you're in the BDO console Discord, if you just post your stream, because I look at everyone's stream personally through there. And if I'm streaming and, you know, I want to show some love to somebody after I get done streaming, I'm going to show some love to whoever I see that's currently streaming, and that is within the, you know, it's called the promotions channel of the BDO console Discord channel. I will show some love through them. That way everyone can see. Same thing with like Panic, right? I've been seeing Zen is streaming a lot from Panic on Awakening Guardian content and how they operate, whatever the case may be. You know, I'm willing. The purpose is to get our platform in general to be more, or as it probably won't be, but as popular as PC, and you know that way everyone knows and recognizes who is from the console platform. You know.
Like, for example, Nameless, I know Zach, my boy Zach streams over there. We know Zen streams over at Panic. We know that people like Shoddy streams over in Arsha. He's the Musa. Like, we have all these people that can present these different fights from a different POV, and I just think it's a crazy good opportunity. It doesn't make sense not to do it.
Agreed.
Yeah,
How about you start with one?
Accumulate a list, send it to your respective, it doesn't have to be just the PA partner, you send it to any streamer, and whenever we're streaming we can have them added already, and then we can end our stream, we can send them a raid and it might help them out.
If you also send me a list of who streams in your guild, I can set up streamer pings in VRT and push their content out. But for this fight that we're deliberating, definitely any participating guilds, make sure you tell me the streamer in your guild, or a couple of them if you've got them. partner or not, and I'll be able to get that out there, and people might want to watch your guild's point of view and try and help drive some viewers and engagement to streamers in the community. I think we leave it there, gentlemen. Thank you very much. It's very much appreciated that you took the time. I'll set up a channel, and you can all have your thoughts, and we'll touch base again about the fight and see what we can do, and we'll be back. Do we agree?
Wait, what?
We'll talk about it.
TLDR.
We got no more.
It don't matter
Yeah,
what
yeah,
you saying. This dude still come in and say what you say. Bro ain't been paying attention at all.
For like the past 5 minutes, I was not paying attention. I'm not gonna cut.
Well, every time you speak, you ask what we talking about before we speak.
Oh,
thanks for
that's me being nice, you know.
Thanks for coming, Strat.
Hop out of here.
Thank you. Hey, real quick, GMs,
All right,
GAs.
everybody.
If y'all have a quick moment,
That was good.
Y'all
shit.
be easy.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for
All
coming,
right,
everyone.
appreciate it, y'all.
It was successful, Jane. Good job. I think you did good.
Yeah, you're welcome. Goodbye.
Oh, thank you.
I don't know who you are, Jane.
Next time we're going to do
Hey,
tier ones.
so real quick,
and the
guys,
rate of what the
for
tier
all of y'all that
one
don't
community
notice,
is, and
if
it's
y'all
not
are
very
a role
exciting.
player,
You do.
And there's a
next
lot of GMs
weekend
that
is supposed to be
sure
like a
interested.
global costume contest.
I'm sorry, I'm just trolling. I don't really. I ain't got no beef with
NA,
nobody.
for anyone that's NA, it's supposed to be this
I
date,
think Bruce
right?
is
Posted in the
I know.
stream. But y'all make sure y'all check it out. It'll be
No.
next weekend. Jay
with
will
me.
be
Jane thought
co-hosting
this
it
stream
with
started an hour
Jane.
before it started.
It's supposed to be global wide between
we can-
Asia, EU, and NA.
Yes, I can hear
So
Jay.
y'all just be
Say
sure to
with
check
me.
this
Say
shit out.
no.
All right. Shut the fuck
No.
up, Kobe.
There you go.
No, Jay.
But
There you go.
I appreciate y'all
All
for
right,
tuning
no,
in,
Jay.
though, big dog.
See you later.
We'll find someone to raid.
See ya.
We'll do a big
Who
raid.
the fuck was that
Straps,
guy?
thanks for coming. That was stop it. Thanks for coming, Straps. Is he gone?
Sorry,
Baby,
it took so much to
Thanks for
reach.
coming.
Oh, here we go. Console stream.
I think honestly, I think a lot of good conversations were
Thanks,
had.
Lex.
Y'all be sure to
still
show
alive.
this person some love.
Your comms is still
Oh.
alive.
Y'all be sure to show these people some love. And y'all make sure y'all show the figurehead of Panic, or however you want to take it. What the fuck? This motherfucker. Here we go. My bad. Y'all fault. All right, y'all. Y'all check out Zen. He's been in Panic since probably, like, believe day one. Y'all should just show him some love. Drop a follow. He's been streaming consistently this week. He might be on the upcoming. So y'all just be sure to drop by and show him some love. Awakened Guardian content from Panic. All right. I appreciate y'all. GMs, GAs, we'll talk. Try to create content from the future. But I appreciate y'all. Much love, big dogs.